How do people listen to this podcast? This is the Imperial Scrolls of Honor podcast. I am Josh Folan.
And I am Jay Baxtron.
And I am Jeff Burns.
And we are going to be bullshit about the formative years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. Lord Disciples, start your engines! We are setting out on a new RPG side quest with this pod, where we incrementally fiddle with an old school RPG, start to finish, with the assistance of vintage game literature. The latest quest is set in Mota, with a TBD chief adversary, where we are trying to get to the bottom of these pesky biomonsters roaming the countryside as we venture forth in Sega's 1990 release of Phantasy Star 2 on the SEGA Genesis. The accompanying literatures of antiquity for us on this undertaking are the 52-page pack-in instruction manual and the official Phantasy Star 2 hint book, a 114-page tome, also published by Sega around the time of the game's release stateside. I'm pretty sure it was a pack-in too. The link to a PDF of both of those, along with some accompanying pack-in materials, maps, charts, etc., will be in the show notes for the duration of the quest. Emulation disclosure, so you know the tools with which we are undertaking our quest to defeat this yet-to-be-identified derelict. Jay, how are you tackling this?
I am emulating through Kega Fusion, launched through my Launchbox application with the 6-button SEGA Genesis controller.
Oh, just over-equipped.
I'm ready to go. I don't know what's going to hit me. I don't know what to expect here, man. Gotta be prepared.
Anything could come out of this shit. I'm going to be ready for all of it. Yes. That's great. You still haven't made the upgrade to RetroArch, huh?
I still use RetroArch for NES, just not for
Genesis, right?
Yeah,
I suppose it probably taking on additional software for an already cumbersome quest.
Making no changes.
Right, exactly. Yeah, stick with what you know for now. Do that on a smaller job. Jab, how are you playing?
I'm wondering if I'm also playing on Kega Fusion. I'm playing on Fusion, whose icon is a K. So
Yep.
Yes,
same.
Correct.
It would be stunning if it wasn't that. 3.64. I'm just using a keyboard. Yep, that's it.
Ooh, keyboard. Okay.
Always. And Jay, do you fast forward in these games?
No, I do not fast forward.
See, you send these texts to the group chat, and you're all upset, and this is why.
I might have to actually figure out how to do that now, given life situations.
I walk through. Well, we'll get there, but fast forward the battles, man. Come on.
I thought that was only for the last quest. I didn't know you could do that for this one too. Maybe
I told you that then too, but
yeah. I don't. Battles, sure. Especially, we will get to that in the case of this game. But if one is struggling with, he wasn't struggling with the speed with which this was occurring. I think he was struggling with actual functional things, and that does not lend itself to being sped up.
No.
If seeking success.
Of course not. We can get to that. We're not even out of the intro yet, but we can. Right.
I am playing on my Abernic 351 MP handheld emulator yet again, so I can play wherever and whenever the mood doth strike me.
I got to talk to you about that. I feel like I want one of those.
Yeah. What's the size of your screen again? There. What is that?
It's on the device. Yeah. It's I don't know, maybe 3 inches, 3 and some change. It's small, but for an RPG, it's fine. Or it's great actually. And yes, you do want one of these. I assure you, it is a fantastic little device. And this one, my last one that bricked on me was much more expensive. Amy got that for me as a gift. I was not going to invest similar funds into one of these little devices. So this one's not that costly at all, and it's does all the things.
Nice.
Before we get rolling on this here second installment, let us first discuss our experience with the series and game. And Jay, to my knowledge, you are working anew in the Phantasy Star universe, are you not?
Yeah, I don't know anything about this world at all. The only reason that it even made it as high as it did on my Let's Play this list is because there's an online active community. Like Phantasy Star Online 2 is a thing right now, MMORPG, and I love those kind of things. Having just made it to level 20 in Final Fantasy 14 online, replacing ASO, I love them. So that familiarity alone made me think, what is it about this game that spawned a whole active community right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that, I got nothing.
Okay. Well, longtime Loric disciples might remember Jab and I trying to play the entire first installment on SMS in a 2-week window in the very infantile stages of this podcast. And good game, particularly for the era, 1987, but nightmare podcasting experience. I remember being so stressed out, feeling like we had to keep our 2-week schedule and that I just had to finish it. And I basically played it every waking moment for like 72 hours straight leading up to the recording. And I still didn't finish that motherfucker in time. I ended up having to just watch a YouTube video of like the last however many moments of the game. So it was rough. Jab, what do you remember about that time in your life?
And I'm not going to lie to you. You were like longtime Lork disciples. I was like, I don't remember that at all. And I'm probably like the second longest term Lork disciple, so I don't actually even remember that.
Wait, so this was the original one, but on
Correct.
SMS?
Correct.
Oh man,
Correct.
Well.
Correct. Well, there was a lot of cool shit going on there. There's certainly more advanced than the NES early big dogs, Dragon Warrior and Ultimate Exodus, I would say. Still very basic, but there was this first person dungeon crawling thing going on that really blew Ultimas out of the water, in my opinion. And
low bar.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember it now. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
the chest, trap chest, Jay, or Jab. So many fucking trap chests.
Wait, it's just all trap chest.
Roughly, yeah, it was roughly all trap chests.
Literally all trap.
Especially the dungeon experience in particular. That was the only interesting thing going on down there. Really, was trap chests, and that's not that interesting, really. But it was just from a graphical perspective, leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Further along than I think what Ultima was able to do. Yeah, and just in general, I think the story had more interesting shit going on. We will certainly get into it with this game too. But it's sci-fi, so it's. While that's not always my bag, it certainly is almost always, maybe partly because of that, actually not being my bag, it's always seems more, I don't know, random is maybe sounds a little negative, like it's not intelligent design, but it's just more different than I'm accustomed to stuff. Whereas every medieval fantasy game you play has a lot of fabric to it that is common, So
Yeah.
Sci-fi tends to not have that going on, and these games have that feel too. You had to venture to different planets. There were vehicles, kind of varied character mechanics, just to name shit off the top of my head. So there was a lot going on in that.
Planets? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there was 3 different planets you went to, and that.
So the 3 that are referenced at the beginning of the manual and stuff here, or just different ones?
We should probably look that up, huh?
They were. No, it was not. They're not the same.
Okay.
Some same, not all the same. I don't believe. Anyways, yeah, Jab, other than that, I have no experience really. I diddled around with 3 on my emulator. This was back in New York, I recall, so it was quite some time ago and did not make it that far. So I haven't really fucked with any of the other ones. I assume you have not either.
Oh, no. I like Jay, I'm aware of the Phantasy Star 2 online stuff, and it's got a big old community, but I know pretty much nothing.
Word. So we are going to learn a lot on this venture as a collective, I feel. Please rate and review the pod wherever you listen. If you enjoy our shit, it helps us quest. Start with a manual perusal, as the game gods intended, in the backseat of the Little Brown 86 T-Bird, and the cover art, which also appears on the game box, is a very moody oil painting by one Hitoshi Yonida. Yonida did design on a handful of Mega Drive games, including Phantasy Star 4 and an RPG called Sorcerian. Maybe we'll side quest that too after Jay enjoys this one all the way through. The art itself vocally depicts a caped human man with a, I think anyways, identifying male, and human adjacent female. She's got devil horns. Right. To separate herself from humans, I guess. And they are joined by pet sand marmot with insect aspirations. Or inspirations, maybe I should say. I don't know if it's aspiring to, but it's inspired by at least. And the dude has a laser rifle, obviously, and the horned female appears to just be ogling him with an inner dialogue of, that laser rifle and the stand marmot you've tamed are so hot.
It's funny, that rifle looks kind of like a trumpet to me. I had to stare at it very closely. Like
it's, the oil painting nature of it kind of is part to blame for this, but yes, there's a lot here that you kind of got to squint at a little bit to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah,
and it's all like it's oil painting, then scanned. There's just a lot, a lot of subterfuge. In the background is a warmly toned, arid sand landscape with various sci-fi POIs, robots, towers, etc., etc. We have some manual setup, I should say, right here at the beginning. Jay, could you please tackle that?
Phantasy Star 2, in the beginning. Somewhere drifting in space is the beautiful Algo star system. Around the parent star, Algo, whirl its 3 children, Palm, Mota, and Dezo. Closest to Algo is Palm, the economic and intellectual stronghold of the system. Thinkers and rulers live here, high in the ivory towers, away from the hubbub of everyday life. Next is Mota, the shining jewel. This fertile farm planet is a tropical paradise, peaceful, prosperous, and happy. On Mota, everyone has everything they want. No one has to work hard, or even work at all. Dezo is farthest out, and the most mysterious. Not much is known about this dark planet. Among the planets, Mota's history is the most troubled. From far in her past comes the legend of Alice, the courageous young woman who fiercely fought and succeeded in ridding Mota of the evil oppressor Lassic. But now another tragedy oppresses Mota. This one is far worse than Lassic, being not a person, but an unknown evil. Everything is affected by it. The climate, the machinery, even nature. On Mota, strange, vicious creatures infect the countrysides. They terrify and destroy. No longer does anyone venture outside a city, unless they don't want to return. What's happened to Mother Brain, the controlling entity on Mota? Why have things gone so wrong? Who is smart enough to solve the riddle, and who is brave enough to save the planet?
Okay. And hearing you say all those, I think those 3 are the 3 planets from the first one. Mm. But the one we don't know much about that they keep repeating that is new, per se, in this game.
Makes sense.
But before we get absolutely fucking lit on fire on the internet for not knowing the connective tissue between the 2 games.
All right.
Page 9 covers the naming limitations of your lead character, or maybe characters in general, I guess. And they only allow 4 characters, so it can handle Todd and Jem. Yeah, but it seems like a no-go on Gentlema. The disciples will be sad about this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The next thing of note in here is the nightmare layout. And Jab, could you tackle that one?
You're asleep, but you're not at rest. A nightmare grips you with its terrifying images. What do they mean? And what do they have to do with you, Mota, or anything at all? You've got enough to think about, but your dream leaves you feeling utterly powerless. Oh my god, is that press C buttons part of the reading?
There's a whole nother page, yeah.
I don't know why that... Anyway, please fix that in editing.
I always
Press button C at each screen to move on to the next one. The dreary feelings of your dream fade, but worse worries replace them. When you report for work, the commander gives you a very important assignment. Your new mission will affect the future of Mota and everyone you care about, including yourself. It's kind of a silly way to phrase that. Why are these problems arising? Life was easy, sweet. Mother Brain controlled everything, and everyone was peaceful and prosperous. Where do biomonsters come from? What happened in the biosystems lab? If you can recover the recorder, will the commander be able to solve these vital riddles? Knees worried about you? That's not how you spell that in English. Knees worried about you. She refuses to let you go alone. The mission is too dangerous. Yes, it'll be good to have her along. In the city, people seem sad, angry, and confused. Some almost sound like they've already given up hope. Just talk to anyone to feel that fear slowly creeping up.
The next thing here on page 12 is titled Paseo, The Plot Thickens. And Paseo is definitely, a town I remember from the first game, so I suppose it's nice that, we'll be starting somewhere familiar, if you are, or anyone who's adventuring through this game will be starting somewhere familiar. And these next few pages, up through page 19, will walk us through getting started and explain the POIs to be found in that town. Talking to everyone and writing that stuff down for your puzzle solving later is highly recommended here. A section called Touring the Architecture walks us through each building type we'll encounter. There's a special note here that even if a building can't be entered, you can hit the A button to, and I quote, inspect it for clues, end quote. Surely that will be critical knowledge at one point or one obscure point or another in the quest. There'll be one time you have to do that to solve one thing, and you won't remember to do it.
I didn't know I could do that.
I'm looking forward to that time.
Right. Oh, man. So keep that in mind. It's a lost art. Fucking these games having that kind of thing in them, just like one obscure instance of something. The economic trade units are called Meseta, and we are also told that here. We start the game with 200 units of said fictitious trade construct. So now let's talk buildings. There is your home. You live here. It's explained that once word gets out that you're trying to save the solar system, randos might just start showing up to join the cause, and you will have the option of recruiting them into your party. And I suppose this is the price of fame, but it sounds like my worst nightmare.
You go home and there's people like, hey, I want to hang out with you a lot.
Yeah, when I hang out, and I heard you had a project, and I'd love to help you out with your project. Yeah, that's fucking sounds really bad. There is the central tower, and this is where official Paseo business goes down, i.e. it's where the commander you met with in the table setting blurb gets his on-duty Hummers. And there's a library here with a librarian it suggests you speak with, and it says you can leave your baggage here too if you'd like to travel light. And I was guessing right off the jump that this would be some kind of like storage chest function, Mm-hmm. And that's a really wacky way to do it, but it's cool that it exists because that is something we've bitched about in all of our side quests to date. You have those limited inventory slots, and you have shit you don't want to throw away, but you don't want to fucking, one, click through a million things just to use an item, and two, obviously be able to hold everything you want to hang on to, So that is a really nice feature that they built in here, albeit in a weird way.
You know what, though? I will say, thinking about using that, I don't know how many screens we get to like have stuff yet, like in our inventory, but I know we have more than one because I'm at the point where I picked up something and I was like, where is it? And I realized there was like all of a sudden there was a little next icon, and I clicked on it and I was like, oh, it's on the next screen. So I don't know
how many.
Maybe there will be a point where I need to use this, but for now I'm good.
Yeah, I did. We'll get into it later, but I did use it as like a, I don't know, kind of like an insurance. I guess is the best way to describe it. We'll get into that later. So yeah, that's interesting to hear. I don't think I've maxed out an inventory screen, so that's good to hear. I don't think I knew that. If you remember, that makes me think of, I don't know, I guess it couldn't have been you, Jay, because you quit. But Jab, I think maybe when we were doing Ultima, you didn't, or was it Ultima? Yeah, where you didn't know there was another step on the like pause menu where you could do the horses, like divvy up food, I think it was, or divvy up like there was like a whole fucking extra set of fucking options because you didn't know the little arrow at the bottom.
Fucking missed it.
Okay, so the next thing is shopping store situations, and they call it shopping is fun in quotations is how they lead off the explainer here, and always open, and there's never a supply shortage, they say. There's an armor, and we'll get weapons from there despite the name, and where you actually get your armor from is called the Protective Gear Shop. So while that is literally the way it works, that's a perfect example of probably just translation shit happening. They're like, well, armor, it's literal, like, yeah, but every game like this, that's where you get the other thing. So probably confusing for kids, even though it is literally the way probably it should be labeled. And then the miscellaneous items, potions and such will come from the tool shop. You can sell shit here too, as is customary in RPG games. There is rather a hospital. The doctor can both heal and relieve poisoning, and we're told he's not a quack. That is the exact adjective they use, and will only charge if you actually need the services. And quack used in this context should be brought back, I think. I've had doctors that should be called quacks, and they don't get called quacks anymore.
Right? You got to vet everyone these days.
Yeah. Then there are clone labs, and this is where shit gets real sci-fi and interesting. I think this is where you essentially revive dead fuckers, and they are sure to point out that the clones possess 100% of the prior iteration's memory, experience, and possessions. And sure, that's what all cloning quacks say, is that they're perfect replications. Don't even worry about the all sorts of crazy biological fucking side effects that this could possibly have. It works, don't worry about it.
You know what? The awesome thing about this, though, is that in the current X-Men run, for all the X-Men fans out there, that's kind of how it works on Krakoa. Like, they actually have the ability, like, not the spoiler alert if anybody's into it, but they have the ability to, like, basically raise people from the dead by cloning them exactly like this. So it's fascinating.
I told you.
In the comic,
Jay,
it's done in an awesome way. So it's really cool.
You got to get further into this fucking, it's terrible. It's such a, I hate the Wolverine. I hate this shit with Beast and stuff. It's so bad. I actually saw someone, I felt so seen and validated.
Beast?
Someone was just bitching about this on Twitter about how Beast had been ruined. One in being turned bad.
I'm not.
It's too far. It's been going. It's been like years that this has happened, so I don't feel bad.
They've had Beast like on the verge of like doing like dirt for a
terrible,
while. So
terrible. But I still don't like it. His whole thing, he has like an army of beasts, and it's just like it just makes everything frivolous. It makes everyone. It's like it takes away the they already never die. So why do we have a whole army that are just completely expendable? It completely nerfs the gravitas of the story to have everyone clonable, and everyone's just dying all the time. Like, anytime anyone dies, you're like, it's not the real one. It can't be. Otherwise, what the fuck,
the first time it happened, not to go into tangent, the first time it happened with Professor X, I was just like, oh my gosh. But then it was like, but that was the time where they're like, can we do this? All right. And then they did it. And I was like, oh, so that's what,
that might have been
that's
cool.
what they're doing.
But that was prior to this
the first time.
So.
Yeah. Now it's just,
Anyways, there are teleport stations, rapid transit at its best, and these only work if the person teleporting has prior memory of being at the place, i.e. a convenient solution for requiring you to have traveled there on foot before being able to fast travel to it. And this is I don't know, this is like a sci-fi thing to me. They're always like, just fucking it's like, again, it's kind of like that double-edged sword of sci-fi. It's like, because there are no rules and every sci-fi story world is its own completely new set of everything, it allows them to be super creative and just do whatever they want. But it's also like, it means there's a convenient solution for anything. There are no rules,
Yes.
And you can kind of feel that sometimes. And it's probably why, because I do like construct and rules, I struggle with sci-fi in a lot of cases.
That's a fascinating way to put it. Okay. Little
And
insight into the way your brain works. Yeah.
And data memory, this is where you record your deeds on the Imperial Scrolls of Honor, and you also can get your XP to next level updates here. Page 20 is a comrade breakdown. There are 6 different characters that will show up at your house, as previously mentioned, ready to party, and these are covered here, and we will discuss them in our plays as they are encountered and potentially enlisted for duty. I guess I don't know for sure yet, but I'm guessing you don't have to.
Yeah, I think when I got someone, like I went into my house and then they were there, and then
it asks you if you want to fuck with it, basically.
Yeah, like I didn't exactly read how to fuck with it, and I just kind of like clicked through it, and I went outside and they were not with me, and I was like, oh fuck, did I just like lose them forever? And then
well, that's cool that I didn't even to hear that you have like total agency over it. That's really cool.
It seems like you do, yeah.
Yeah, if you
as far as I could tell, like you might not have, like you get a given character, you might not ever have to deal with them.
Right, which is nice because they have personalities for sure. So
and now they're just living at my fucking house.
Even
worse. Like then you're not even out with me. You're just at home, and now I'm stressed two ways.
Yeah, you're not even carrying your weight. You're just a fucking goddamn scourge on my fucking downtime.
Goddamn sink was full of dirty dishes. You can't be serious.
Hey, I'm here if you need me, man. I'm just here, just hanging out.
Just cooking up some food, man.
Yeah, you need any help, bro? You sure you don't need any help? No,
tickets
bro.
to go.
It's like Turtle and Entourage. I'll cook up the food in the kitchen. I'll be here when you need. I got you.
Yeah.
See you guys.
That's fucking great. Important info here is the character skill point system we'll be using for our status updates at the end of each episode. Strength, mental awareness, agility, luck, dexterity, attack skills, defense skills. And these are explained further on page 33. Strength influences max HP and your damage dealt. Mental also affects max HP and then correlates with the technique points. So this is essentially our MP, and this is the first time I guess we're mentioning that technique is what they call the magic in this game. And luck is described as techniques become more effective as it increases. And I love the idea of correlating luck with magic spells. You know, it's just fucking random, you know. Dexterity is handling weapons in battle increases this, and it influences damage inflicted. Very different than a lot of RPGs where this usually correlates with defense and armor class, I think. So that's interesting. And then obviously attack and defense skills are pretty self-explanatory. A few pages on the battle system span 26 to 28, and they are funnily titled War! First off, enemies are called biomonsters, and I don't recall that being vernacular in the first game, so that's kind of a new deal that comes out of the story world here. And very different than everything we've seen to date going on as far as this battle system goes. You know, we'll get into kind of the moment-to-moment of it later when we're playing, we get into the gameplay, but they explain it here, and I finished this explanation. I was like, I don't fucking have any idea I don't know what to expect. Like it says that when a fight starts, you have to choose from an option set of fight and strategy, right? And the best I could glean from the manual, the latter was going to let you dictate what each character in the party is going to do in advance out of 5 options. There's battle, so attacking with weapons and whom it will be. Technique, so use spells and shit. Choose what weapon you're attacking with. And then defense, which is kind of like a parry option to defend instead of attack, and then run. And yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of like I'm reading that. And I'm like, so what are the battles just automatic? That sounds fucking insane. like it's kind of like it's almost what you described Jab in doing by playing the game on fucking hyperspeed, you know. So I'm just like, but like the idea that they would employ that as a native system to me was just, I don't know. I literally couldn't wrap my mind around the idea of it.
I mean, as far as I can tell, like, I mean, it's a little automatic. Like, it's more automatic than I'm used to.
I think it's very automatic.
Yeah. Like, maybe he doesn't understand, but I think it's pretty automatic.
Yeah. But yeah, no, but all I'm simply saying is I'm sitting here reading the manual before I play, and I'm like,
oh, that can't. You mean before you got in, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this can't be how it fucking, like, there's no way that you just, like, set it and forget it. That's crazy. And there are, you know, like I said, we'll get into the moment later, but, like, there's pros and cons, as with everything. There's pros and cons. Yeah. So, I think generally speaking, probably I like it, but there are cons for sure.
Did you see? I noticed one thing on page 26. When you die, you have a little grave pop up. And do you notice anything about that grave?
I don't think I noticed this. No, let me.
Page 26 under hit points subsection. It's got a little cross on it.
Yeah, well, you know, fucking Sega.
I noticed that.
Oh, that's right. Fuck, I thought I was on Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'm not high, I swear.
Yeah, Sega doesn't give a fuck. Page 34 and onward are a very detailed breakdown of what has to be most of the weapons, armor, techniques, and items you'll encounter in the game. We'll discuss these as we come to them. A little more literature of antiquity starts off here, the hint book, and yes, this came packaged with the game, and mostly justifying the elevated $69.99 MSRP for the game of the time, I suppose. The cover is the same artwork as the box and manual, but the rest of this layout looks kind of small time, I think. Like it's got like a big yellow band up top with the title treatment and sticker-looking bubbles that have the Sega logo in one and hint book in the other. And there's text at the bottom that reads, "Your adventure would be very difficult without this guide. It includes maps of all the towns and mazes in Phantasy Star 2. Study it, carefully as you pursue your quest. Go forth and strengthen honor, brave adventure. And that copy, while the layout sucks, the copy is awesome and would bring a tear to my eye if I wasn't dead inside, I think. They repeat this blurb on the first page inside the thing, too. So, you know, I don't know. They, I guess, really also kind of felt that was great writing. It warranted the redundancy if I could do it 2 times in immediate succession.
We paid for it. We're going to use it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this fucking not letting go. This getting great ROI out of this fucking out of this copy. Then we have a 2-page TOC over some more artwork of that same arid planet found in the key art, probably. Though I would say this looks a wee more urban than what we see on the front. But definitely the same vibes. And there are screenshots here of some anime girl, and then the title screen, as well as a little explainer copy for how to use the book. This reads, Your Journey. Role-playing games are journeys packed with adventure. This Phantasy Star 2 guidebook provides hints that you should find yourself completely stumped, and unable to proceed, it's best to read the... Wait, provides hints?
It's terrible English.
Right, okay, right. So
it's
I'm
not easy to read.
I didn't write it down incorrectly. That's actually what it says.
No, it's just bad.
Okay. Yeah, so this Phantasy Star 2 guidebook provides hints should you find yourself completely stumped and unable to proceed. That's the way to deliver that. It's best to read the hint book it's best to read the hint only if absolutely necessary, and then only the hint you really need. Have fun. And amen to all of that, although maybe write it a little better so I can read it out loud on this podcast.
You hear that, Jay? You were ordered to have fun.
Yeah. No bitching in the group chat. You gotta only have fun and be positive and don't quit by episode 3. At least wait till episode 11.
And we could easily drop the National Lampoon Christmas Vacation plastic surgery to remove smiles from your faces.
Yes.
Quote here.
That applies. Not Austin Powers fucking quotes. But Christmas Vacation, yes.
I like Austin Powers, all right, too.
See?
It's not a dick measuring contest. It's okay. You can like it.
No, Mike Myers movies, not funny. Then the rest of the book is structured very much the way the Nintendo Power Final Fantasy strategy guide was. We go from POI to POI, and what I expect will be the general order you should be tackling them. And as we did with the Final Fantasy strategy guide, we will play the game without this as much as possible. And then once we reach our stopping point for a given episode, we will then take a gander at the pages herein that apply to what we just played and discuss them and how they might have applied to our journey. We will disclose any instances where we did indeed get stumped, as instructed, and consulted it, and had to dig into these with our tail between our legs. So that makes for interesting conversation too, when we just couldn't proceed without these accompanying feelies. There was also a map and weapon chart packed in, and again, this kind of, I think, the amount of shit they put in this box with the game kind of makes, it's a very big thing how expensive the game was. Like I said, the $69.99 MSRP, and I kind of think maybe it was more attributed to printing costs than it might have been the fact that this was a 6 megabit cart, which is like this and Strider, I think, were the only games up through like early 91 that had that big of a cart on the Genesis. Was
the cartridge physically larger?
No, just the chip
okay.
inside was held more shit.
I was gonna say I don't feel like I remember that kind of stuff.
No, it was the same as all the other ones. Not even EA sized, just the the squatty. But yeah, that didn't mean anything. It was just because they weren't allowed to use the same cart because of patent bullshit is the reason that EA changed their cart design.
I had no idea.
Just so they didn't need Sega's bullshit. Even though they ended up working out, Trip worked it out with Sega, so they didn't have to go the Tengen route or anything. But anyways, yeah, the 6 megabit cart is bigger than the 2s and 4s that were mostly on the Genesis at the time. But I think, they printed up so much shit that I think that's probably why it was so expensive, more so than that. So this is there's a fold-out ground map of Mota with a small companion sidebar featuring Dizo, which is that furthest out planet in the solar system we're told no one knows shit about. And, if that's the case, they had me thinking, how do you have this perfect one-for-one map of it then? if no one has any fucking intel on it. They also include that same copy from the hint book cover and the title page again here on the map too. So they just love that shit. The back has charts for all the techniques, weapons, armor, plotting which of the comrades are able to use them, and a range of other data. They have, for the techniques, they have the TP required, whether they affect enemies or friendlies, whether they are AoE or single target affecting, a short effect explanation, and then what party members can learn it. And one of the attack techniques in here, Megid, very conspicuously has all question marks. So I thought that notable that they put that there instead of either, I don't know, leave it off or whatever. It really draws your eye to it on this chart.
I wonder if it's like that wizardry spell that, like, it's like that 8th level.
Right. Dragon Warrior 2 had one of those too at the end. The last spell was I don't remember what the name of it was, but it was, no one knows what this does. It's never
basically
been cast.
Like a wish spell, right?
Right. Weapons and armor have their cost and were obtained, and surprisingly, no stats. There are empty rows in all the categories, so in all the categories, there are some empty rows, I should say, and it's explained at the bottom to write in the ones that aren't listed. So this is cool that they don't give them all to you here, and they encourage you to kind of jot your own shit down. And the scan, I sent it to you guys too, so I'm sure that's the one you're using, or I hope that's the one you're using, because it has some hand-scrawled in shit that made me really happy to see.
This is the hint book? I don't see that there.
This is on the chart on the back of the map.
Oh, I'm not on the map. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll bet you.
So we can fire the card up now that we have consumed all the feelies and get this thing rolling. On Fire Up, there is some amazing pixel art of the 3 planets in the solar system. Then 2 goddesses fade in on each side of the image, reaching out towards each other, and they don't quite reach, though, and Dizo, and this is, again, the dark planet no one knows much about, just so happens to be the one between their hands. So I wonder if there's meaning to that. Title treatment comes in moments later, then a little prologue covering last time on Phantasy Star. I'll give you a little catch-up here, and then our view pans around the overworld map on Mota, across various infrastructure shit peppered amidst the prosperous countryside that was described to us in the manual, and an awesome little ditty plays also. As we move through here, text bubbles pop up here and there to convey a considerably more concise table setting than the manual, in my opinion. This is the second planet of the Algo system, Mota. Over 1,000 years have passed since the evil Lassic was defeated by Alice and friends. And since that time, Algo has prospered under the care of a giant computer called Google, i.e. Mother Brain. And Mother Brain created domed farms on the dry world Mota so that crops could grow, or would grow, but the people of the Algo system perhaps became soft in the long years of peace, and I love that they used the term soft for that. It's very, I don't know, something. And the last one reads, and now evil threatens the system again. Who of these cupcake biatches will be able to unlock Algo's fateful secret? And then it's back to the Sega logo. You hit start. We are told the game is checking the data, whatever the hell that means. Then we are presented with the option set of new game, continue, or erase game. New, of course, which then brings us to your 4-character naming opportunity. Todd is reporting for duty in my case, obviously. What did you guys go with?
Gent, of course.
Gent, okay.
Oh, Gent works. Yeah, it's as good as you're going to get. Jab, naturally.
Fair. After you confirm, the copy reads, well, then, let's begin the game. Let us do so. Large pixel art of a young girl fighting a huge demon appears. Copy rolls below it. This reads, I am haunted by nightmares every night. A young girl is battling a giant demon. I am close by, but can't move or speak. All I can do is watch while the demon keeps striking at the girl. Just as she is fighting for her life, I awake. The image quickly fades away. An image of a ripped anime dude sitting up in bed takes its place. I awake in my room, dimly lit by the early dawn. I am filled with an incredible sadness and fear. I am Todd, an agent here in Paseo, the capital of Mota. I shake my head as if to scatter the remnants of the dream. I have no time to worry like a child about nightmares in this modern age, especially with the mother brain planning and controlling all aspects of the environment. I open my window and take a deep breath of fresh air. It seems to wash away the bad feelings left by my dreams. Cut to the town map. Your dude walks out of a house and over to the central tower. He is wearing, straight up, the blue Voltron pilot dude's suit. I don't know if you guys made that connection or not, but that's exactly what he's wearing.
Love it. Love it.
Me too. Inside, we get a framed pixel art shot of a stern, gray-haired dude. Good morning, Todd. How are you? Almost 2 years have passed since you started working for me, the commander of Mota. What I am going to ask you to do will be the toughest job you have ever done, but it is vital for the future of Mota. As you know, Algo has been brought up by Mother Brain. My work as commander has been to smoothly promote the plans of Mother Brain. I had believed that Mother Brain never makes mistakes, but those monsters all over Mota are just too much. We must find out by ourselves why those monsters were born and how to bring them under control. Todd, your mission is to go to the Biosystems lab and get the recorder. If we look into the data, we can figure out how the Biosystems lab ended up making those monsters. Todd, I hope from the bottom of my heart you can come back safely with the recorder. We'll see each other again. Then Todd heads back home, and we see his dialogue portrait for the first time. Hyper anime, blue hair, and vaguely Asian. Inner monologue from Todd now. After going home and preparing for the trip, Neh seemed worried. Neh! Portrait, Neh. She's the girl. Her portrait pops up across from him. She's like a doe-eyed hot girl, purple hair, and a low-cut top. Huge pointy ears. Neh. I have to leave for a while. I'm gonna laugh every time I say it.
The great thing is, I was like, how are we? I don't know how to say it.
I'll say nay.
Yeah, so,
Nah.
but here's the good news: is if we just keep saying it wrong, somebody will get mad and correct us.
Right. Yes. We'll get a spamming of phonetic spellings, which will be
Basically
great.
from upset comic guy from Simpsons. Sorry, guys.
Right. Yep. Out loud, he's saying now, Todd. He says, "Nah, I have to leave for a while," and then we get more inner monologues, which is just back and forth between him talking to himself and talking to her. And Nah stared at me for a moment. I remembered when we first met. She looked at me in just the same way. That was 7 months ago. Because she was the product of a mixture of human cells and those of a biomonster, she was an outcast from her society. You were still mad when we first met, but now you can take care of yourself. I am going on a dangerous... This is him talking to her. I am going on a dangerous journey. Too dangerous for you. I worry about you like you were my sister. Still, Neh stood in the doorway to keep me from leaving. She says, "Please, Todd, take me with you. I'll do anything for you." And it then says, "I took my sack and started to go, but Neh still blocked the doorway, or the way. I had no choice. I decided to let her come with me." And then it cuts back to outside the house, and we're off on our RPG side quest. So, there's a lot to fucking unpack here. And I hate that term, but it's an unpacking that we needlessly need to do here. And my first observation is that this game is not fucking around with copy. It is both dense and not intended for young children. So that was notable. And it also gets, like, what I think I'm going to call Sega goofy at times. And like, I don't know if it's just like hiccups that are translation related or what, but I feel like the writer is trying to punch slightly above their weight at times, you know? And I think most of it is good. It's just like sometimes like you're going a little too far, I think, you know?
I didn't really track any of that, but I because this is how my brain works, I did notice the poor writing formatting. Like there's no quotations.
Right.
No quotation marks. So it's like you got to like double check to see, like when you said like he's speaking now, it's because like that needs to be clarified. You don't actually realize he's speaking necessarily.
Yep. And yeah, that could just be simply, not that they're working with like fucking font files and Windows or anything, but
no,
like,
they don't
you know.
do this. They had quotation marks. They have all the characters necessary to write English in a cohesive and
They could create them, yes.
manner.
So the other thing though is what do we think about this mutant familial but maybe also sexual dynamic between the lead hero and Neh? Right? You got those vibes? It wasn't clearly...
I didn't get that. Like, to me, I'm like, all right, she's my sister. Okay.
Okay, right. So more
that's what I
more
was kinda
familial.
thinking at. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, let me talk. I was like, this is where the game hooked me. I was like, I immediately get a cat girlfriend. That's great. That's what I knew I was in.
I think it's there's enough ambiguity for there to be questions. I think either way, especially just skimming,
I could see that, yeah.
You could come either direction, but there, you know, he says like a sister, yeah, it doesn't mean a
This
romantic.
wouldn't be the first time in history two people who were good friends fucked.
Good way to put it. Good way to put it. So we sell she. We sell she. We sell C. Whoa.
We shall see.
Yeah. I think my tumor might be acting up. We shall see. Getting your feet wet. We stand outside our house again. Both the hero and Neh can be seen walking single file as you zoom around here in Paseo to the score of the My Home theme off the banger PS2 soundtrack, which led us into the previous segment of this episode. And I mean zoom literally. Compared to other side quests, to date anyhow, they're all on the NES, so whatever. But your movement speed here is fucking lightning fast, and that is a welcome change, in my opinion. Even if you're not playing on 700% or whatever, maybe Jab, you don't even know this, but
I think it's actually 1,000%.
The one problem with this, though, both the speed and just the art in general, is that it doesn't feel as grid-based, which is not good for mapping, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, I noticed, as like a very quick brief aside, like there's like some times where I was walking around where like you hit like activation points on the map that aren't like perfectly on a grid, and just like whatever in my brain, that bothers me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's probably better from like a immersion standpoint to not like see the bricks in the same way, but it sucks for mapping if nothing else, and it's different as a change relative to. Although I think I had not NES, but Final Fantasy had that a little bit too. I was still able to map. It was enough grid based, but it was like starting to get there even on the NES with Final Fantasy, so I suppose it's probably not for long that will be an option in any of our side quests, at least in the same way. Not like perfect, mathematically correct. I guess I'll maybe have to get a little more free-flowing with my mapping if I want to do it.
Yeah, step outside.
Anyhow, the overall look of the town is a nice mix of futuristic urban development and responsible conservation with quite a bit of tree and grass-covered park allotments. The walkways are in an ornate gray stone pattern. Plenty of flower planters adorn that, and there's lots of high-rise buildings well spaced out across town. It's very clean and high-end looking, I would say. I immediately headed back in the house just to be thorough, and you kind of want to see what's popping in there before poking around town. And yes, this is where we this is that thing you were talking about, Jab, but the copy you get is, home at last. But there's no time to relax. Before you go out again, you'd better check your companions. Right now, I am journeying with Neh. Shall we continue our quest without any changes? And you can select yes or no. If you say no, this will be a difficult journey, you are told. Pick your companions wisely. Let's check the current roster. And then another menu you get is you see strength, reorganize, outside are the three options. And see strength lets you examine examine each where you can see all their shit. So you see there, this is your status screen basically. And a little short bio too. And the latter are pretty fun. Todd's reads, lost parents at age 10, healthy and has a broad range of knowledge. And Nez reads, Neh means the human who was not a human. I actually don't know how to pronounce that. Lithe?
I don't know.
I guess, yeah. It's Lithe.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I've never seen that word before. Yeah, I wrote it down here, and it didn't even occur to me that I'd never seen it before.
I'm convinced I don't know how to read, so I can't help you.
Fair. Lithe and agile like an animal. She hates carrying a heavy load. And yes, every character gets one of those, and they're all fun. We'll get to the others as we get to them later. And reorganize lets you change your party order. TBD what that means to battle mechanics. You have to assume, usually in this case, like guys up front need to be tanks because they catch a lot of melee damage, yada, 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 all those things we're accustomed to, but I don't know for sure yet. And I like the copy when you head back outside. It reads, there doesn't appear to be any problems. Be on your way. So again, just Sega goofy. Like there's a lot of that in here, in my opinion. So let us discuss our first instance of townsfolk chatter now. Talking to these inhabitants of Paseo. Back outside, there are people lurking all around the pad, so I might as well speak to them first. Let's respect our elders and hear what the two old men have to say first. It hasn't rained at all for a while. The lake even dried up, and I love that the first old person you talk to in the game is just talking about the weather like an old guy.
It's like an old guy.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
On brand.
And the other one says, thanks to the Biosystems Lab, Mota flourished. And then there's a kid out here. He's highly critical of his patriarch. He says, my dad is just goofing off every day. He says he can live without working. So it's playing up that thing that I didn't really catch so much in the table setting blurbs in the manual. But, people don't like to work here.
No one wants to work anymore, I'm told.
Correct.
Yeah, you don't have to. You're rich, supposedly. Everybody's in utopia. Right. This is utopia land we're in.
That's true. But now they're soft. So there's pros and cons. Everything has a dull-edged sword. Everything. A scholarly young fellow gives us our first objective. He says, if there's something you would like to know about Mota, you should go to the library at the Central Tower. And there are a couple of young women around that say, the first one says, this town is peaceful. I am glad I moved here from Amira. So there's at least one other town to find. Giving you some POI direction there. And do not get close to the bridge on the North River. Many people have been killed there by a man named Darum. And that sounds like another objective. Drop it in the quest log. Another few by the armor shop in the northeast corner of town, and I'm going to call them a family. The young dude says maybe you should go back home when you get to a strange town. There might be someone strange who comes looking for you. So this is playing up that get your additional companions thing. The young woman says, from now on, women should be armed and should fight. I believe in that. So, I don't know. She's contrary to your beliefs about what should be doing, I think. And they're shitty parents, as the kid over here says, when I grow up, I'm going to become a thief. So, that sounds like an idea that probably came from the militant mom's parenting and not the dad's, I would say. It sounds very self-dependent. Another couple mills around over in the medical district in the southwest. The man says, I used to work at the Biosystems Lab, which is on the other side of the lake. And the woman says, hunters are the coolest guys. They really are strong and dependable. And that doesn't sound like the guy she's dating in my
right?
What
are we Like, I hope your husband's a hunter. Otherwise...
So maybe that's a poor assumption. But the kid here says, why should I work for a living? And yeah, the youth in this place has a pretty bad outlook towards joining the workforce, clearly. Yet another kid, or rather family in the Northwest, where you find the data memory building. And the kid says, they say if you go to the North Bridge, a guy named Darum will rob you of your money. And the man says, well, you are armed and look so brave, but if you don't keep your weapons in good shape, they are worth nothing. I read this, and I had a mini freak out.
Yeah,
right?
Actually, I don't even think I caught this one. That freaks me out.
Right.
Like we got to sharpen our weapons. It's like along the way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Weapon degradation fucking mechanics are the worst in fucking RPGs. I am not a fan. I thankfully did not experience that yet in my entire playthrough. Hopefully it does not become a thing. But yeah, that really had me worried. And then the woman says, if you have money, you can always get your body cloned at the clone lab. And yeah, they're very, very clearly NBD about cloning in these parts. I guess it's a developed technology that everyone's become accustomed to. And that's it, other than the Walmart greeter outside the Central Tower. So let's check out the library. And there are two options when you walk in here, the storied library and just room. And the room is indeed the baggage situation. Heading into the librarian cuts right to the chase. She says, I understand that Todd and the others are going to the Biosystems Lab to get the recorder. If you want to find out about something here, please choose a file. And then you're presented data file options of history, biosystems, Climatrol Dam, and then Mother Brain. And there's a shit ton to divulge here, and it's cool, I guess, that they put this in the game. Like, this is the kind of thing that is, again, relegated to the manuals and literature and stuff, usually out of game. So it's an interesting, just from kind of like a game development perspective, I guess, that, you know, they're trying to take steps towards what we now view as the way things are done, you know, where everything is built into the game and you can't even find a manual for them.
Exactly. Like, just turn the game on.
Right. right. Yeah. So kind of cool and forward thinking. There's like I said, there's a shit to read. We're not going to go through all of it, but there are a few bullet points that I thought worth mentioning. The Biosystems Lab was shut down because some shit went sideways there that created something bad that we don't know what it is. There are 4 dams, one on each side of town, that key cards are needed to enter, and we're told the red dam is the simplest, and my takeaway was an implication one might want to start there if they are of interest. And then the Mother Brain runs all the vital climate control and agricultural systems on all 3 planets, but no one knows where the supercomputer came from or where it's located, so very mysterious. So let us dig into the Paseoan economic participation opportunities now. You can head into the weapon shop first, or rather I headed into the weapon shop first. So I thought I should take stock in what Todd and Neh were already rolling with before I did that. And Todd has a knife as a weapon in his right hand, no headwear. He has carbon suit armor, and then shoes. And since we're on the strength screen for that, we might as well cover their opening stats also. Which, Jab, did you end up fence testing this before we started, or no?
Oh, no, I forgot to. I'm sorry, I was around doing chores.
Like I said, I'd be shocked if fucking Sega differentiates this. But in my case, the starting stats were HP 19, TP 15, Strength 20, MTL. What the hell was that again? MTL? Mental, yes. Was 28, agility 17, luck 13, dexterity 20, attack 17, defense 17, and 0 experience, of course. And then that also lists a job title for him, and that reads agent. And this is, again, everyone has one of these. And we'll get to something very fun in a moment. In that regard, Neh has a ribbon, which is headwear in this game, a carbon vest, and then sandals. So she's my kind of girl. And she doesn't have a weapon, though. And her stats here at the beginning are HP 12, TP 10, Strength 14, Mental 18, Agility 30, Luck 10, Dexterity 14, Attack 7, Defense 22. And her job here says no job. And I don't know. I'm great.
Yeah, like they could have easily made something up.
Anything.
She has no job.
Nope, she's a female. Why would she have a job?
Especially on this planet.
Right, yeah, just fucking, oh, God. So, of the times, I guess. So now let's see what they have to offer here at the armor. The shopkeep, like you had headshots of each of these shopkeeps, and the one here looks like he's in an 80s hairband. This fucking, he looks very much like a fucking like a glam rock kind of dude.
Oh yeah.
And his offering is the knife at 100, dagger at 200, scalpel at 180, steel bar at 80, bow gun at 300, and sonic gun at 640 Mercedes. And according to the chart, the only weapon Neh can use in the game, let alone from these options, is the steel bar, which seems kind of wild. If the idea is the customary, cute girl has low strength stereotype, you would think it would not be like this. Like steel bar is like a very brute weapon, I think. So that's interesting. But I'll want her to do her best if I have to employ her in melee situations, so I copped it out of the 200 Meseta starting endowment, and then the rocker dude asked me which of you lugs is going to hold it, which is fun copy. I like that. And I also like that they let you determine that here, as opposed to having to go to
forcing you to trade it.
Right, yep, so that's a nice convenient step. And then he says, there you go, use it or lose it. Later, Ace, on the way out. And
Ace sounds like a Mikeism. Almost. It's too nice. Almost.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Ace. It's close enough though. I don't know. It actually doesn't sound. It sounds to me a little belittling. Ace is like it's my thing with Chief.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like Chief. Chief is very. You're not actually calling me Chief. You're thinking I'm below. You're calling me below Chief when you say that.
Slick's the one that gets me.
Slick is also.
I don't like. I don't like Slick.
Yeah, Slick is very.
You're saying
Slick
I'm shady. What are you doing?
Yeah. Slick is means you're
fully derogatory.
Yeah, it is Slick. I say that all the time. Actually, that is 100% of my. That's not kind of a Mikeism. That is 100% of Mike. Yeah, and Slick is when you're like, come on, motherfucker. Like.
You're smoking weed in the closet. You think I didn't know Slick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you gotta get up pretty early in the morning to get one past me, Slick. That's what that is. So equipping that steel bar on Neh took her attack from 7 to 14, and very interestingly, her defense also bumped up 2 points from 22 to 24.
I noticed that.
And,
I like that.
Alternate ways to hold it. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's really cool because you just never have seen that in any of these games. And I agree that the best defense is a good offense, just like Josh Allen should say to Coach McDermott. But don't get that in RPGs usually. Tried equipping it in both hands, which you are given the choice of to see if this game was cool enough to give characters a dominant hand. That is not the case though. But it is cool that you have agency over which hand goes in nonetheless. And I saw her as a creative type, so I decided she would be a lefty, and I put the bar there. Armor Merchant came next, and he is in the southeast corner of town. And the desk guy here looks like a normal anime guy, which makes sense. You'd expect the Armor Cat to be more conservative than the weapons extremist, you know? And the offerings are headgear at 120, carbon suit at 128, carbon vest at 120, fiber coat at 300, carbon shield at 540, carbon ML, whatever the fuck that is, at 420. And the latter is in the shields and body protectors category on the charts, so I was guessing that ML meant a shield of some kind. With only 120 Macetas left, and Todd having no protection for his melon, getting some headgear seemed the obvious choice for me. Neh can't use it anyhow, and though I had some mild apprehensions knowing this would wall me off from any healing consumable purchases, I still went forward with it. Did you guys cop anything here?
Wait, which one?
Any armor at all here at the start?
I did not. I definitely didn't start myself out and give Jay anything until after the dungeon.
Okay.
I think I have the carbon vest if Nay didn't already have it.
She has that, yeah.
And then the ribbon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like that's a funny, just again, just like I don't know, that's like suit versus vest. I don't know, is an interesting differentiation of like this is a lighter piece of gear, for your less melee tuned characters. Was again just a funny, wacky sci-fi. I don't know.
Yeah, and you're not gonna call it a cuirass because no one's gonna know what that is, and it's much longer than the word vest.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Though you didn't ask, thank you. I didn't buy anything. I wanted to get outside and see what the countryside had to offer before I made any sort of financial decisions.
That's smart. Yeah. That's smart. Unless you get murked.
Well, with 1,000 times speed, or 1,000% speed, it doesn't super matter.
The funny thing is, I actually thought the same thing at first and kind of just went out with Neh. And then she was always like defensive, and I was like, man, she sucks. This is battling. It's like... And then I figured out, like, oh, I need an attack, but she needs a weapon. Then I went back, got her the pipe.
I don't even know if it's just that. I mean, do we have a spot for this, Josh?
For what?
Talking about the
actual we'll talk about the battle mechanics, more, and the characters specifically, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, it is... I've also, assuming this is what you're getting at there, I thought I was impressed and surprised by the character dynamics, I guess, like the character battle dynamics, and really what they were able to do and best at, I guess, maybe is the way to word that.
Yeah.
So good on the developers for that, and we'll talk about it here in a bit. The item shop is between those two on the east side of town. And the keeper here is also very straight-laced looking, and he says, welcome. How may I be of service? And the offerings here are Monomate at 20, Dimate at 60, and these are heal potions, and the numerical root words at the top of these allude to strength. Mono is the weakest, Di is double, and there are also Trimates that can be found later. I love this logical etymology being used for fucking the, items and shit in the game, as opposed to just random shit that I can't do anything with, or that I just have to memorize, I guess, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that was very cool decisions.
Yeah, it's better than just, potion and high potion are fine, but for medieval settings, but not for here. So good that they did something different.
Yeah, it also, I think it kind of makes it more scientific, which is cool. There's Antidote, and this is 10 Macetas. This cures poison. Duh. There is the Telepipe at 130, and these are the Wings of Wyvern, basically. They take you back to a city, and that's all the manual says. It doesn't say the city or what city, but it does say a city, so we'll have to play with these to sort how they work. They are most likely the obviously nearest or last save, is how they always work in these games, and that would be the case, or that would prove to be the case. There is the Escapipe at 70 Macetas, and this is the outside spell, basically. They teleport you out of a maze, and that's important to delineate. They are called mazes in this game, not dungeons. Don't fuck it up.
Oh, that makes so much sense. I definitely bought an escape pipe. I need to be able to get the F out. Let's go.
Yeah, I concur. That maze is a better word for it. Again, we've only done one, so who knows how they go, but...
No, but that makes much more sense. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I dealing with here? Yeah.
That first one is a motherfucker. I won't.
Yep. For only the first one. It's we'll get there. And yeah, I was sad. I spent all my money, so I was sad I couldn't get at least one antidote here even. So that was kind of a bummer. Because I certainly want to. I, unlike you guys, do not want to go into the countryside without every possible assurance that I'm not going to get whacked. And then we move on to the hospital to check that out. It is ran by a guy that looked perfectly reasonable to be your doctor, and he was offering, not quackish at all, and he was offering HP, heal, and poison cure services, as the manual assured us. The heal option is 16 Meseta, no matter how many HP he's restoring, and I was scared it might not, but it does restore technique points fully also.
Yeah.
So it fully equates to an end stay, and that is nice. And I didn't actually have him cure poison, so I don't know how much that costs. The clone lab, on the other hand, is manned by the fucking Joker of Batman lore. So how about this fucking guy? No fucking way would I come to this guy for anything medically related. There's under no circumstance. I wouldn't even buy weed off this guy.
Like, are you sure it's okay? I'm okay coming? Like, last resorts only. Last resort.
No fucking way. No one was dead, of course, so when I tried to select a character anyhow, he said, "This is no place for stupid jokes," and I feel like that copy is them acknowledging
That's appropriate.
they are biting on the Batman IP here, for sure, and they know it, or they would not have put that there, in my opinion. So, that's kind of fun. And then last up is the Data Memory Hut, and this is ran by a somewhat androgynous anime person, and you are told unprompted your XP to go for level up on entry. And here at the start, before you do any battling, you are told you need 29 XP for Todd. Nah, just 12 to get to level 2. And then he says, do you want to put your memories and experiences into storage? And no, I want to record my deeds on the Imperial Scrolls of Honor. God damn it! I don't want to do that. But I understand why you went with this wording here in this sci-fi setting. And if you say yes, you can save on one of 4 slots here, which is one more than most battery-saved joints of the time. So how luxurious is that, guys?
Nice.
And that is it for calculations and preparations available to us in Paseo. So now it's time to do some adventuring. Heading outside of Paseo, you'll find yourself in a very small enclosure next to the town sprite. And there is one small forest tile to the west of town that can't be walked onto, an airplane hangar looking deal a few paces to the north that looks to extend outside of the enclosure, and all around the outside of the enclosure is barren desert, a stark contrast to the very green grassland inside. So they are painting that picture of, you know, this mother brain created fucking paradise is actually set in this fucked up place.
Well, it's not just desert setting. If you look at the map, you can see a little bit of elevation. So
Sure.
Paseo seems to be on top of a caldera. Is that what they're called? An inactive volcano? And then then you're on top of that mountain, and then it descends down into like
you can't be certain it's inactive.
That's true. Yes, I shouldn't assume that. You're right. But yes, it looks like that's a... Well, they said... Here's what I don't understand, and this must be what it was talking about. Somebody in town said the lake dried up, and I think you were in the middle of the lake.
Okay.
Like, go look at the map.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I gathered looking at the map.
Okay,
It's like,
I just want to make sure.
Feels like it's got to be like that. Yep.
Because I don't see anywhere else where a lake could have been and then dried up.
And there's it's because they have the waterways are like
will we be able to fill that in at some point? That's my question.
Well, yeah, but the rivers and stuff. There's something about the rivers. I can't remember it offhand now because it's been a while since I did my playthrough. But I think we're gonna get to it here in the notes. There's something weird and like about the kind of
the dams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Clearly, just the fact there's dams. There's obviously some fucking human intervention on the waterways. So I was surprised to find I could get into battles here. I did not expect to when I first looked at this.
I was thrilled. For my warp speed leveling, I was like, say no more.
Yeah. Well, I was like, ooh, I'm going to walk over to the forest tile, and I got into a squab with a fire ant and 2 bees. And yes, let us now discuss the battle, because it is fucking wild to me, man. It turns out that the fight strategy option is where you decide whether you want to just let the AI decide your attack choices on autopilot, or you can set a specific attack plan that it to semi-set, I guess, an attack plan that it will then carry out on its own without you having to click through each and everything. And yeah, that is just fucking nuts to me. I expected it would be great for grinding, and I was right. I immediately felt like an immense weight lifted off my shoulders as far as that goes, but it did make me worried about how much agency I was going to have over moment-to-moment shit in important situations, you know?
Yeah,
and you don't.
Strange.
You did, and you don't. Like you don't. Yeah, you fucking don't. I was impressed at times with the intelligence of things. Like you don't just sit and then if you pick to do a heal spell, they don't just sit and spam heal spells indefinitely, which is smarter than maybe you would assume a fucking 16-bit game would be. Just cast the spell and then starts attacking. But still, it's fucking interesting. It's very, very interesting. And yeah, it just once you set it to do whatever, it just goes on autopilot and it will just keep spamming that same action until you click to stop it. And even when you stop it, it's still got to finish the thing. It's not like you just hum right in then, it finishes the turn, which makes sense, of course. I mean, I think you have to keep this fucking logical. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's so far from any battle system we have seen on any of these games to date, and
yeah,
that's wild.
It's strange, and I think I brought this up before, and I don't know, a therapist would be like, you're talking about it for a reason, so that it doesn't mean nothing. But I can't remember who this was. Maybe one of our listeners can fill us in on this. But there was some famous Japanese game developer who was like, RPG. He was like, I don't consider RPGs actual video games. I don't consider them real games because you have to grind to level to even progress to the next point. He's like, there's at a certain point that doesn't become skill. I think his point was. And then we get into this game, and I was like, well, now I don't even really have control over the battles. So, did these even need to be involved in the battles? Is this an
interactive story?
That's exactly it. Is well, at that point, why couldn't I just read a book?
Yeah.
But having said that, I love RPGs.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't take that far, clearly, because it does.
Of course it does. There's and as the game goes on, I'm sure, with new skills and whatnot, there's shit that you can get and do different that will matter. But it was kind of jarring to lose that agency.
Yeah, no question. It does, again, playing to the intelligence of the flowchart of this. If one of your characters gets a status change, paralyzed, poison, whatever, the battle automatically stops then too. So even if you're just kind of and I would do, I remember fucking when I'm doing the grinding, I am cooking, I'm just doing shit, and you're not even looking at the screen. So it's nice that it has these auto catches, if something gets super wonky and that's going to drain you turn after turn, or obviously one character is no longer participating, so maybe you want to change your strategy, whatever the case. That's a very nice thing. One thing I will bitch about, though, it does you can direct your attacks to one type of enemy, but not individual enemies within those groupings.
How did you direct your attacks to even one type of enemy?
I didn't notice that myself, yeah.
You can you can absolutely do it. You can select which group you attack.
How? I press fight and that's it, and then things move.
Well, if you press fight, you got to go in. You got to go in. It's part of the strategy thing. You have to go in and do the strategy. Even if you want to just do all melee attacks, if you want there to be strategy to it that you impose.
I guess I didn't further. Whenever I went this strategy, it was you only get to choose one of those icons, which is do a technique or something else.
If you choose the melee attack one, the top one, you get to pick who you attack or which group you attack.
Oh my gosh! Okay. I'm we're just attacking or whatever. You hit attack and just go.
If you just hit fight, that's what it'll do. But
when you're fucking playing at warp speed, you can actually get away with that.
Yeah,
that was my whole playthrough. That's been my whole playthrough so far.
Gotta use that password.
Yeah, you do have agency over the group, but not the enemies therein. And and that's not terribly uncommon. That's a Dragon Warrior 2 bitch too. Final Fantasy allowed you to choose individuals within groups though, and that was nice.
But that's why it's the GOAT.
That's why it's the GOAT. Yeah. As far as the look of the battle interface goes, there is no background. It happens in a black void with a blue grid line thing that like they extend out of sight in a quasi-POV way. And the enemy sprites themselves are large and animated, and we look at the backs of our party battling with them. And when we attack, the character has an actual attack animation that changes depending on what we've equipped. Also, spells each have their own look, so that's all very nice, I think. And our characters also step up when being attacked, which is a nice visual cue to help you follow along when watching auto battling play out. You know, I think it would be tough, even if you had like some sort of like fucking blow up animation or whatever on top of your characters. It's still easier to track when it's really cooking through with the step up. That's nice. So I also found out here in this initial enclosure around Paseo, there are mosquitoes and poisoners to be found too, as far as the enemies you will bump into. And mosquitoes have an attack that heals them while damaging you, which makes a lot of sense and is pretty cool and logical. And then poisoners are snakes, and they can paralyze you. I would learn in here the spells that you start with, and Todd has Foy, which is a damage spell, and then Neh has Res, and that's a heal spell. And we'll cover those and their underlying numbers in more detail in a segment after the Tales of the Grind I've finally named Arcane Teachings.
Wait a minute. Time out. Josh has a spell. What spell does Josh have? Or Todd have?
Josh has nothing, but Todd has four.
Josh doesn't have a job. He lives in
Yeah. Nothing. Foy. It's a damage spell. It's like a kind of a, we'll get into it, but it's like a fire spell, kind of. You didn't see that?
I don't have that. I don't even have that.
Really?
I legit don't have that. I have a different one. Ryuka.
Well, you sure?
I'm sure.
You obviously can't cast it outside. Are you in a battle and you don't have this?
Yeah, I don't have that. Now I'm gonna have to like open the game. Now I'm like, what? I got nothing.
Well, yeah, you have to open the game because I think you're wrong.
Definitely. No, I definitely have Foy.
Yeah.
I definitely do not have that. What?
Oops. When in doubt, user error. Lord Disciples, it sounds like we have a user error on our hands.
It's always user error.
It's always user error. The computers are never wrong.
Unacceptable. Okay, I'm gonna have to.
So it's confirmed? We're confirmed, right?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, so yeah, you can fuck around in this enclosure, but if you decide to head out of it, you'll need to go into that hangar, and when you do that, it cuts to a tunnel. And there's nothing in here. I don't believe battles are even possible, and it's a few screens long to reach the opposite door to the next overworld area, so kind of raises the question, why the fuck do we have to walk through this at all?
Right?
I was actually thinking that, and it does kind of give you the idea that it is a distance.
Right.
And it's safe. So there's some clues in there.
I guess there's some storytelling. I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You don't want
sure.
it, but
That's might be working a little hard to I call that J justifying. Jay always has a justification for every one of the bad decisions in game design.
What? I'm like tripping now. Hold on.
Fucking Jay's over here just shook. Can't even focus. Can you podcast anymore, or do you got to just go home?
I can't podcast. Like, what do these techniques do? Like, I thought I even specifically read something that was like, Gent can't use techniques. I'm like, all right, except for that one thing. But now it's like, wait,
nope.
Everybody's
got techniques.
No, man, everybody's got technique.
Oh, wow.
Well, actually, the hunter, I don't think does.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. He's
our all melee guy, maybe. And who knows? He probably gets something at some point, too. I guess I could pull up the chart and find that out. But we'll find it out organically. Let's get back to the task at hand. Exiting the tunnel, you walk into another enclosed grassy area, but this one is much larger. There's lots of trees and farm enclosures we've been told about, and a few POIs. Just to the west, you can see some kind of doohickey clogging up the mouth of a tunnel that opens up to some of the barren, unaltered terrain of this planet, and you can't interact with it or examine it. I tried searching with the A button.
Weird.
Nothing doing. And there's another town, Arima, to the east, and just north of there is a bridge to a similar-looking area with much harder enemies I wouldn't even begin to fuck with when first exploring up here. And it is good to see the 90s RPG bridge phenomenon is adhered to by these biomutant inhabitants. It's very respectful of them, I think. Matching bridges to another enclosure to the north as well. And then there, as far as the enemies go, they're the same ones in the Paseo enclosure: mosquitoes, fire ants, bees, poisoners, plus a couple of new ones in locusts and froggies. I headed over the matching bridges because that's where I didn't get murked immediately by the enemy sets. And I know how to read my 90s RPG developers' social cues. There's a tunnel heading west just over the western bridge. A dude with a sword standing stoically opposite the door inside immediately had Todd mumbling to himself. I've seen that face. He tried to kill Neh 7 months ago. This is bad news. Let's go back for a while. And the game just won't let you do anything else. Like, you go in, you see this guy, and then just like mumble to yourself and fucking leave, which is goofy. It's goofy. Pretty weak job of justifying gatekeeping, I would say. But there are some cute little mountain terrain sprites up here too, and the north side is bordered by water. So there's no other POIs. So really the only thing you can do here, if you can't get through that area with the enemies that murk you, is check out Amira, the next town. So you walk into this joint, and this place is in shambles. Every building but a few commercial POIs looks like it's been ransacked and destroyed. There is a clone lab, a weapon shop, a hospital, and our first teleport station, or what I thought was. There's actually one back, but I didn't notice it, I think, in Paseo. There are also burnt trees, gravestones, and wrecked sidewalk tiles to round out the bummer vibes in this place. And it's interesting choices from a strategic perspective if you're like an opposing militaristic outfit. Like perhaps the townsfolk are particularly solution-oriented and just move their businesses into the few salvageable buildings with a mind towards reconstruction. But like, if you come in here and you wreck everything, why do you leave like these core commercial buildings intact?
Because you got to make money, of course, like commerce.
Well, they have to, yes. But why didn't the people who ransacked the village blow those up too, is what I'm asking. Like, why would you leave these strategic buildings only in particular? But
we can roleplay it and just say that even every raising of a town, city, well, maybe not towns, every raising of a city in history probably has left something standing.
Sure, but again, the only thing left standing are strategic POIs.
Well, it's like if Oberlin got destroyed and then my house survived, like, guess what's the new general store?
Right, that was my justification. Yeah, but, right. The signs are up already. I don't know. It looks a little developed for that, I guess is what I'm saying, But yes, you're correct.
You be how fast commerce moves.
Right.
Josh.
That's true, yeah. The, what do you call it? The invisible hand of, what's it called? The invisible...
Of the market.
The market, the invisible hand of the market moves, right. Swipes forward no matter what's going on. On the topic of townsfolk, they have plenty of chatter here despite the bleak situation. Woman you're closest to on entering says, "Why in the world did you come to Arima? This is such a horrible place." And because I'm playing an old RPG for a podcast, and I have to thoroughly explore every single thing in the game so I can try to come up with witty shit to say about it when we record. That's why, lady. That's why. Kid trolling around by the clone lab with her says, "I know. The hideout of those scoundrels is at a building in Shore. And that is new objective discovered. Press A to go to quest log. This is a building up to the north, consulting our handy map. And the nearest old man to where you enter says the scoundrels must have 2 more dynamite sticks unless you take them away, or unless we take them away, another town will be destroyed. And it's 2 mentions of these scoundrels already. That's pretty heavy, but it is very fun. Obviously, that he says must have, like very specifically, he must have 2 left. So that he knows that. Exactly is fun. Down by the weapon shop, a girl states the obvious. What's most frightening is humans, not monsters. Her anime girl Roll Dog says, I hear that those bad guys are very cautious and keep their stuff in a locked container. And there are 2 men, or old men, playing checkers over here too. They say the scoundrels stole all the food, killed all the men, and kidnapped all the women. And those who are left here are just the powerless, who are only waiting to die. That's very depressing. Yes.
Yeah, I got a whole depressing vibe. That's just all I got from this town. I was like, man, get me out of here.
There's a fucking bummer and a half.
Yeah, it's Melmond from Fantasy 1.
Melmond or Hawksness, maybe from Dragon Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Or kind of, also a little bit of vibes from Dragon Warrior 2, the fishing town where all the men are gone.
Oh, right.
Yeah, what the fuck, whatever that's called.
Men are all lazy. And
Zahan, maybe that is?
Zahan, I think, is actually, damn, that'd be a good pull. I think it is.
Southeast corner, yeah. Well, Jab, I mean, I just did a side quest of Dragon Warrior 2. I don't know if you guys were around for that, but had a lot of Dragon Warrior 2 in there, so being able to pull things from it's not that difficult. They have a central tower here too, though it is much less ornate than Paseo's. Numerous peeps orbiting this. One says, Darum is not a bad guy. The reason he became violent is that his daughter Team was kidnapped. So this is a huge narrative twist after all that negativity we got about Darum in Paseo.
Right.
And those scoundrels always come from the east. And the last one is, or rather, another one says, this town has been wiped out by the scoundrels and there's nothing left. And then the last one says, if only those scoundrels hadn't come to this town, Darum and his daughter Team would have lived a happy life. So
clearly those scoundrels are the bad guys right now.
Right,
They're
right,
enemy
right.
number one.
And they are probably the key to finding Darum as well, one might assume. There's an old cat by the hospital. He says, those scoundrels blew up everyone's house with dynamite. And this kind of suggests that it was more of a mischievous attack than a strategic one, and it could explain leaving the stores. That the scoundrels were just kind of trolling them, you know what I mean?
We do a little trolling with dynamite.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I think I've talked about it out here, but like that was in like, I don't know, we were in like 6th, 7th grade. We used to go out, and this is like pre-weed even. This is just like the way we were, I don't know, being teenagers. We would go out on like Friday and Saturday nights in Oberlin and just break Snapple bottles. Like literally, we would like go to places and like organize and like just launch Snapple bottles up into the air and then fucking run. And like total chaos, total fucking why can't I think of the word?
I don't know.
I want to say arcany, but that's not right. Alchemy is what I think also wrong. Anarchy. Total anarchy for no reason at all. Just like trying to create chaos for no reason. And there's no benefit to it. You gain nothing by creating this anarchy. It's just you want anarchy.
We would do similar things. We skateboarded around town, but like when skateboarding got boring or we were too tired or injured from skateboarding, we would just do something we called fuck shit up. Go around college campus, like Oberlin College campus, and
break
just break
shit,
things. It's
right.
What?
So fucking insane, yeah.
Also, Jay, you have nothing, like you're saying this like
nothing like that.
Because you know why, Jeb? Because this motherfucker grew up in a real city. That's why.
I was just gonna, yeah.
I'm like, I did not do stuff like that.
We had stuff to do. That's the problem with growing up in nowhere is you don't have shit to do, so you got to create options for yourself.
It's Snapple bottles.
Fair enough. Fair enough. My wife says similar stories, and I'm just like, I did not grow up like that. Totally understand. She grew up out in the boonies, city boy.
Yeah. All you have to do is fuck shit up. That's great. Fuck shit up. It's like an organized activity too. It's like,
right.
It was a specific decision that we made. We were like, I don't want to skateboard. I don't want to play video games. Like none of us are having sex yet. So like we're like, oh, let's go fuck shit up.
Yeah. The best
then we
part
started having sex, and when you know it, all that stuff kind of like tapered off.
Imagine that.
You found something better to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's where the genetic impetus for procreation stemmed from. First, cavemen fucked shit up, and then there was a need for society to develop,
right, to
stop fucking shit up. So then procreation came to be.
I literally guarantee you that's part of it.
Like he needs to get married, settle them down quickly, like find mates immediately.
Well, if you want to help rebuild Amira via economic stimuli, that option does exist, and the teleportation station allows you to warp back to Paseo for 60 mesetas, and the copy in here reads, teleport on, bye-bye, and then it cuts to you standing out front of the telestation in Paseo. And yeah, I didn't recall seeing that when I was there the first time, so I don't know. I feel like it's impossible that I missed a building the way I play these games, but whatever the case.
Weird. That's weird.
And then you, if you want, you can pay $60 to go right back to Amira if you want. I'm wondering if that scales eventually, like whether or not like traveling to different places will cost more. I'm curious to see whether that'll be the case.
Yeah.
Or if it's like a standard $60 to go wherever.
I mean, I guess we'll see. I wonder how far we'll actually go, because right now, going from Arima to Paseo, like I've done it once, just obviously the first time. But since then, I'm like, wait a minute, it's like a 5-second
It's
walk.
not that
I
far
don't
of a
need
walk,
to.
right,
Yeah,
right.
like
I've
definitely
not
not going to
been
do
to
this again. And if I don't even encounter enemies nowadays, just going from there to here, like maybe once. So I don't know. I think it was more of a fear factor first, like before you kind of get used to moving back and forth, and then it's way too short of a distance.
I think it can play into, you don't want to deal with the battling, but or that's exactly what it is, I guess. It's just like quality of life. I think we've seen a few instances of it. I think there's like a genuine awareness of trying to make the friction of playing a game like this less here, and developing those systems. And I think this is again, I think the beginnings of fast travel.
Fast travel
here. So hospital is a 20 spot for it's basically the inn function. And then the weapon shop is manned by the same glam band guy and has some new and appealing shit. They have the sword at 1,200, ceramic knife at 2,800, shotgun at 800, and then also has some Paseo repeats at the same prices, dagger, steel bar, sonic gun. And all of these have the same pixel art and dialogue copy for the shopkeeps, so those don't change from town to town, unfortunately. So that's it for Amira. Now it's time to do some fucking actual adventuring here. And yeah, once I kind of do some grinding, fucking wander around, cop these weapons to get yourself a little more prepared for serious shit, you can head into the north enclosure there. And I call this the armor waspy enclosure because that's what you're fucking playing with. And I was actually at an 815 level ratio before I went up there. Did you guys happen to note
an
around
815 level ratio?
Right.
What do you mean, like between yourself and Nay?
Yeah. And I saw your status update, so that might sound crazy.
Yours is definitely like high, but it's funny too because I'd leveled up since going into that dungeon a couple times or that maze a couple times. So I was walking around the area, kind of feeling OP, looking at my level like I'm low level, but Nay has
you must have not went up into that northern enclosure a ton then.
No, I did not. I did not. But it's funny because just looking at the map, I was like, well, I can't go there yet. Nothing tells me to go there yet. I got to go this way first, so I'm not even going to try that. I think I tested it once, maybe at the beginning, and just said never mind and moved back down. But I was feeling pretty strong. That's why I realized with Nay, whatever level she was at the time, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm killing things. I might as well go up there and fight. So
do the thing.
You definitely, you must be feeling OP. I put it like that because I also didn't even have a sword moving forward, and I was still using the dagger at the time or the knife, whatever it is for Jay.
Yeah, no, I basically before I really get into I'm a psychopath. I have to max everything is gonna be max. I'm like taking no risks. So yeah, I mean I was rocking with the ceramic knife before I went up there.
I feel like the ceramic knife, dude. I feel like I didn't even. That's the 2,800. I didn't encounter enough enemies. I felt like where it was just like, oh my gosh. That's why I kind of just decided to go there because that's insane. I feel like you must have played for 20 more hours just grinding.
I grinded my ass off.
Not if you're on fucking 1,000 times speed. Nobody ever fucking listens to me.
I enjoy the grind. It's cathartic. So you head up to this new enclosure, and the only thing up here is a building on a northern peninsula with a very different looking sprite than the towns, and another bridge heading south into unexplored territory. And this is Sure. Heading inside the building, it looks pretty wild. It's very high-tech, a very high-tech aesthetic. Steel floors, the walls have flashing lights in them, and there is foreground art in the form of an electrical wire network, or maybe pipes or something, and that foreground has a parallax scrolling action, so you can like walk around in here, and it sometimes obscures your view and sometimes doesn't. Very, very cool. Usually, they do that for backgrounds all the time, but you don't really see that for foreground stuff very often, especially in an RPG.
Yeah, it gives you like a very industrial conduit look about it. It's cool.
Right. So yeah, I start wandering aimlessly in circles. This dungeon is designed to take you in, and do so for quite a while before arriving at anything even kind of resembling a POI. Except for maybe those, like the cracks in the walls, I thought might be something of significance, and nope. I thought maybe you could blow those up or something.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, no deal. Yeah,
I was scared.
I was avoiding them. Yeah, I was avoiding them for a while.
I finally I was like, "You have save states, you pussy," and then of course it was nothing.
Yeah, red herring. The enemies in here are of that lower tier variety: locusts, bees, fire ants, on the ground floor, I mean. And I saw a bunch of the white squares with red lights on them in enclosed rooms I couldn't reach as I wandered. And I thought they would be transporters and that you'd have to move through this joint by figuring those out. But no, those are chests, actually.
Oh, wow. I could tell they were chests immediately.
Yeah, no, I could not. I had no
Like,
idea.
what else would they, like,
I thought they were transporters, dude. I thought they'd be how you move.
Yeah, they definitely don't look like chests.
That ends up being what you do use to move through these fucking places, too. There's not stairs, so...
I paused it.
I was not able to tell what they were. Yeah, the first one I reached, Todd has gotten hold of 40 macetas, and that's the way they term taking things out of the chest, is to, you've gotten hold of it, which is, again, just like Sega Goofy. Sega Goofy.
Now that phrase makes a lot more sense.
Yep, there's this it's ever present in this game, and a lot of Sega games. Yeah, and then I found a different POI, a transporter, and this took me to a different floor for sure, and it took me a while to catch that the little arrows on them are different, pointing inward towards the center circle to denote down and outward for them to go up. So I didn't register that initially, but that is nice to denote them. And certainly helps fucking understanding that, because I assume it's a given that this was how you felt about this place, Jay, because you were fucking screaming into the group chat at the top of your lungs. But I presume you had to have some of this too, Jab. Like, this fucking place, it's like completely disorienting and like really hard if you're not mapping. And even if you're mapping, because it is hard to map, like, I didn't realize, like I said, the teleporters up and down. So like that was kind of my deterrent for mapping this, was like, I don't know where this is even taking me. So how do I map it?
It's true. Now, I just like bang my head against the wall until I had success. Like, save states, it's easier.
Right.
Maybe that's not the spirit of this adventure, but I'm busy. So yeah, it was hard. I got a lot, and it was also very circular. It reminded me a lot of the I'm embarrassed. I can't think of this. The tower that you get the fucking chime in, or that you need the chime to get into in Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like in the
you
desert.
Walk
around the you walk around the center, or you walk around the perimeter, and then you like slowly trickle your way in, and it's like that a lot in this thing.
And there's a lot of that going up to come down shit for sure.
Also, yes. Yeah, which is like advanced dungeon shit, and they drop it on you immediately.
Yep. But it's the point of a first dungeon is to break you in, to let you know what you're up against.
That's a way to put it.
Yeah. So, maybe that's to its credit, I guess. So you go into this next floor, the enemies do scale throughout this maze. And here on the second level, we get the armorers and some newbies in spinners, amoebas, pulsars, and carriers. Actually, as I moved through all the floors, those are the new ones I'd encounter. And I'd eventually wander to a chest in an enclosed room that was locked and wouldn't open. So it was back to the drawing board, basically. Like the other ones, you don't need any keys or anything. So you bump into this thing and you're like, well, fuck, I'm going to need fuck. I've been wandering around forever and I've only find something fucking interesting and I can't even get it. So now I got to, back to wandering. So I wandered for a long time in this bitch. Probably 2 different play sessions. I probably had I'm just going to take a break. I've fucking been wandering long enough. Time to do something else in my life for a while and come back to this. But after that wandering, whatever the duration was for it, I would find a dead body. And when you walk up to this and inspect it, it says, those are the bodies of the scoundrels. I wonder if the biohazards killed them. And you can see a little puddle of blood around the sprite, which is kind of cool. Like if you do find something like this in a Final Fantasy or one of the other games that we played, it might look like a character sprite, but it's not going to have like a dead look to it, So that was a nice little sprite work differentiation that I enjoyed.
Who did Dead Sprites well was first. Oh no, not here. Just sleeping around these things. Who did Dead Sprites well was Final Fantasy Legend 1 and 2.
Weren't they just kind of laying down? Did they have like a?
I mean, if you want to discredit the artist like that, yeah, I guess they are, and you could tell. So that's a good sprite.
I suppose. If I could, we're on step 1 of a new fucking side quest, and Jav's still trying to steer us into Game Boy games.
I really like those games, man.
They're good. And they have the storytelling element, even though it's live action. They're honestly, they're probably, we have the Zeldas and even Star Tropics, like these kind of apprehensions, Crystallis, these apprehensions about the live action ones or the action RPG ones having enough storytelling in them to fit in the way we do these. And those games definitely have the dialogue and copy and story to fill all this bullshit bantering that we do about these games. So they at least fit that. So there are a number of these peppering the floor. You find them on these dead bodies. And there is also a chest here with a sil ribbon. And this is the headgear armor for Neh only. It's a +9 defense over the normal ribbon she started with. So you get a little upgrade for her. That's nice. When I came back here for visit 2, having a much better understanding of what I'm looking at, I realized that those lock chests are in all rooms on the first floor that, yes, you have to go up to the second floor and then come back down to get to. So, yeah, I had to literally fucking play for a while and come back to get an understanding and enough familiarity with the layout of this place to understand that kind of I'm going up and going down bullshit. When I first came in here, as my level ratio kind of suggested when I mentioned, I didn't have my extra dude yet. So that is also a huge difference. Did you guys have...
Oh, yeah.
That logged? Yeah, I didn't remember that thing. Even though they say it and it's in the manuals and all that shit, I was not like spamming going back home to check whether there was someone new there or not.
I only went back once and he was there. And so I felt even more OP having him. I'm like, oh, dude has a gun. Let's go.
Okay. We'll of course get to that in a moment. But yeah, before I got through here, I 100%, or the first time I came here, rather, I did not have him. All right, so yeah, I wandered a bunch. I had to use the hint book map. I don't know about you guys, but it's such a jumble fuck. Like if you're not mapping yourself, and like I said, I didn't feel like I had enough of an understanding what I was doing to be mapping, so I wasn't. I had to use the maps. Did you guys use the maps?
Oh my god, I forgot you could. Duh. No, I literally just wandered around until I figured it out. And being on the higher speed, I'm on a higher speed. It didn't feel like I had lost a lot.
Yeah, I don't think you did.
Once, because I was in there and I was like, I'm going to try and do this, and then I realized I have no fucking clue where I'm going. So I was like, I'm going to speed this up. So I hope that doesn't. It probably will continue.
I'm guessing so, because immediately upon deciding this, the largest negative coming from Disciples on the socials was the dungeon design.
Oh.
Yeah. So I fear that they may be right. If this is how the first one is, that it might be this way. It's cool as shit that the foreground looks that way, but it can really fuck up your ability to discern where a pathway forward might be.
Yeah, and the conduits you're looking through, can look a little bit like walls sometimes.
Yeah, can I walk there? Can I not walk there?
And I'm absolutely certain that they will use that to their advantage in the design of these two. Even it's like a constant thing because they're always there. But I bet there are instances where it's employed with an extra little dagger turn that, if you're not looking at a map, you're gonna be like, motherfuck, I had no idea. Yeah.
Great.
And so on the third floor, there's these catwalk deals, this is a fun little thing, too. You can 100% fall off these. I don't know if you guys discovered that.
Absolutely had.
Oh, yeah, so you played on 1,000%. Yeah, you can fall off those, and it is tough titty. You fall to the floor below. There's no other damage, at least, so you don't fucking, die or anything. But it is certainly frustrating, especially if you're not mapping and you're kind of just wandering. When you fall, you don't know that you just fell to the floor below initially, and even once you do, you don't know where in the floor below you fell. So how do you it's not like you memorize this fucking place at all. So it is emotionally very punitive. Yes. That's very, very punitive. So on that fourth floor, after an ungodly amount of runaround, you will find a body perfectly left in the middle of a good-sized room that gives you the same scoundrel patter as all the others, but it tacks on a little tidbit at the end about a small key and a letter being in one of the cat's pockets. And this letter reads, Daryl, I have your daughter team locked in Nido Tower. So Daryl also Is it Darum? Did I write that? Maybe
Darum. It's Darum.
Yeah, maybe I got auto-corrected there, yeah. But it's I have your daughter team locked in Nido Tower, N-I-D-O. Pay 50K Meseta in 1 month if you ever want to see her again. To get the money, Darum turned to crime. Which it tells you that. It's not in the letter, obviously. The game tells you that. And that is a hysterical ending.
in case you don't get it.
Yeah, right. New objective obtained, though, and we can crack open all those locked chests on the ground floor now with that key we obtained. And in those, we can find 150 ducats, a monomate, and then 2 sticks of dynamite! So, that Hunter Edition. So you guys got them both before you dicked around with Sure at all, but I did not. But, so yeah, I go back to Paseo after that first Sure maze, and I'm wandering around town trying to find the teleport hut, and casually popped back into my house, thinking nothing of it because I had completely forgotten that whole thing, right? And you go into this place, there's a knock at the door as soon as I walk in, and it is a blonde, high-top dude. And this dude says, I'm sorry to intrude, but I've heard that Todd and Neh are trying to solve the mystery of the biomonsters. I am a professional biomonster hunter, which, again, going back to the whole idea of, like, the scariest fucking thing ever. It's like people trying to enjoy your project. Like, this guy just happens to be the exact thing. He's a professional at it, even, that you need for your quest. Like, yeah, fucking right, dude. I'm going to need some references. Actually, I need to check your filmography myself because people don't provide positive references. I don't know why anyone ever asks references, because why the fuck would anyone give you a bad reference? But whatever the case, I'm going to need some verification that you're a professional and you're actually good at it. But he says, I have little talent, except that I am good with a gun. I also may want to go with you. My name is Rudo, which is short for Rudolph Steiner. May you think you know a better name for me. Maybe you think you know a better name for me. So that's interesting. That's scary as fuck, too, that he just shows up and then you can just call me whatever you want.
Right? Like, whoa,
yeah, little extra accommodating. I named him
in Snatch. That's one dude. The guy's like, I can't remember, but he's like, you can call me Sally if you want. And he's just like some brute that's gonna hurt people.
Okay.
So
I haven't watched Snatch in a long time. That'd be a good rewatch.
Neither have I, actually.
Not a huge. He's Guy Ritchie, right? I'm not a big Guy Ritchie fan.
I think it is. I didn't know that, but I don't care about him. I just think Snatch is a good movie.
I remember vaguely kind of enjoying it. However long ago I might have watched it. I named this guy Fuck. You guys?
I did not bother renaming him. Okay. He's still Rudo.
I named mine Vine, Vinny, for Vincent from Final Fantasy VII because he had a gun.
Okay. Is it your Jay? You sent me your character names. You're lying.
What are you talking about?
The one was named Dean, which I laughed out loud at when I looked at the image. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'm like looking at the call sheet. Yeah, I called him Dean with a gun. Like, he reminds me of Dean from Supernatural. So okay. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, and your main character was Jay, not Gent.
Maybe started over.
No. Your agent, your hero character was named Jay in the graphic you sent me.
Oh yeah, my save files are Gent.
Oh, okay.
I feel like
copy.
Who was the Dean that we knew in our life? Remember our parents had a.
Oh god, yeah, like easily Mad Mike's. Fucking what did it? He had a.
No, we're talking Ricky Dicky something.
Ricky Dicky's. I was just gonna say Dean was probably the funniest. Toothless Dean was his name. Actually,
Toothless Dean. That's
yeah,
it. Yeah,
and that is because that was a literal thing. Yes, this dude was missing his front teeth, and I'm sure it was a funny ass story of how he lost them. And I remember Dean. Dean was around long enough that I remember Dean when Dean wasn't Toothless Dean. I remember Dean. Yeah, Mad Mike would hang out. Dean and Connie. They were long divorced, I think, by the time you came into the picture. I'm guessing. Maybe not. I have no idea. I guess there's no way I could know that. But I think they lived in that. I think they lived in your mom's trailer park. I want to say they definitely lived in a trailer. I can remember Dean and Connie's toilet seat was one of those foofy, like one of the ones the plastic
with the padding,
right? Which is
god,
that dude! It's so gross,
so gross.
And it's not like it's plastic on the outside, so it's not like. It's not actually any different but they get torn and then it is the whole last. Oh, it's so gross.
Yeah, so gross. But yeah, Mad Mike and my mom hung out with them. I remember when I was really little. So Dean was around. I remember Dean. Fuck, dude. I think Dean might be at my birthday party pictures from like, 5, 6 years old. I think
Wow.
Dean was already around. So Dean was always around. But yeah, Dean ended up getting divorced from Connie at some point or another, and then Dean became a crackhead. And
An actual crackhead?
an actual crackhead.
Wait, for
Wow.
real?
For real. I remember, you probably don't remember this, Jab, but Dean showed up one time at our house at 48122, and he, like, unannounced. And, you know, the door was already open, and, like, Mad Mike, I don't know, for whatever reason, actually let him in. And again, dude, I was probably... This was not that late. I was young enough for this to be like weird and me to not totally understand at the time, but old enough to remember it viscerally enough to be able to like parse the vibe now, which is interesting, you know? But Mad Mike did not want him there. Dean was definitely tweaking and just asking for money.
Oh my God.
And I remember, so Dean was sitting on that, Mad Mike was sitting in his spot on the couch, middle of the couch. And then we had this like love seat type of deal across the dining room table for that, or from the coffee table
Underneath the window.
No. Sorry, the other one, the one that closer to the hallway.
Okay,
just
gotcha.
that chair, but it had an ottoman, I guess. Whatever. He's sitting on the ottoman directly across from Mike, and it's like he's sitting in between, basically, the TV and Mad Mike. And Mad Mike is trying to watch the TV and ignore him. Really, is what it looked like. And Dean's just sitting there,
Dean,
dancing around, trying to get Mad Mike to give him money.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, dude, I remember it so, like, just like so, you know how Mike is, man. You can feel the tension when Mad Mike's not happy.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah, he's not even mad at me. He's mad at Dean. And I remember like being in the kitchen or something and just like feeling it, you know, like feeling the fucking tension of Mad Mike wanting him gone. And Dean like stammering through trying to get money out of him, you know, just
Spiel,
like,
right.
yeah, so fucking bad, dude. So bad.
Well,
And Mad Mike just kept, no. Honestly, I can't remember whether he did or not. He might have given him money, just get him the fuck out of there. But it was so, yeah, palpably uncomfortable.
Well, I'm going to roleplay the rest of this playthrough with that being in Jay's
As
party.
Jay's guy is Toothless Dean, yeah.
Yep, that's it.
How do people listen to this podcast?
It's kind of incredible.
Like, yeah,
Who
it's
was the
like,
guy,
if you're,
real quick, I don't want to stay here long because I know people, this is not what they signed up for, but who was the guy that had the one eye? He had the glass eye. And he had a Nintendo at his house or something. Like, I was over there one day and I was like sitting on the ground in some like dirty country house playing a Nintendo while the parents are like, I don't know, doing the things that they do, drinking and weed and coke or whatever. And then I'm sitting there playing and I look over to my right and the eye was sitting on the ground looking up at me. Like he had put it on the ground.
This is one of their friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know offhand. I vaguely remember that. I don't remember who it was.
We can ask Ted, but there was also a guy who didn't have any teeth, that was Toothless Dean, and there was a guy who had one eye. I don't know what his name was.
Toothless Dean.
Toothless Dean. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking listeners, please email us.
gosh.
Like what I want. I've never asked anyone. I should ask some of the really close Lark disciples when they listen to this shit. When we get off on these tangents about these wacky ass fucking friends of Mad Mike's and shit, like,
Do you fast?
I've never heard anything like this. Yeah, do you fast forward? I've never heard. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've never heard anything like this on any podcast. So it's got to be kind of interesting, don't you think? Like,
it's interesting.
Yeah,
I really do. Like,
well, of
just
course
like
we
this,
do.
Like,
Of course we
into
do.
Someone else's life, but like,
right, precisely.
Really like kind of intimate and like not like very atypical. It's not like, oh, I grew up here and like went to school and I did like hobbies. It's like, no, a crackhead friend with no teeth.
A crackhead came over and was trying to get my dad to give him money, and
I wonder if Mike knocked his teeth out.
No, he got his teeth knocked out doing some fucking dumb shit, I think.
He was probably trying to get some crack, and
He was probably trying to, yeah, I'm almost certainly, yeah.
if I had to guess, yeah.
Right, yeah. But yeah, like fucking, yeah, like, you know, just like, it means a lot. It means that we lived in a place where a crackhead could show up and it didn't like, yeah, it was uncomfortable for that, like, whatever, however long he was there. But like, it was just a Sunday or something.
It was entirely within the realm of possibilities. What could happen.
Yeah,
And
it was
now
not
just something that Mike has to deal with.
So good. It's got. Yeah, I wish more podcasts had crackhead moments. That's the crackhead segment for today's side quest.
Yeah, thanks for hanging in there, everyone.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah. So yeah, I name my notable thing about naming my guy Fuck. It's F-U-K, and that is because I didn't understand how the naming thing worked, so I inadvertently added a space at the beginning, and this had me thinking like they couldn't manage 4 whole character sets for all the lackeys, so I just skipped the C and dealt with it. You know what I mean? So he's actually like
Fook.
Well, yes, but like you got to think the space like. Beat Fook.
Yeah. It's like it's like a click language or something. It's like
right.
There's a little. We can't say it in English. We can't express it in English. It doesn't work that way. But
yeah,
Fook.
Yep. So you name them, and then you can add them to the party. And it says we've added Fook, or I should say we've added Fook. This is much more.
You can be named whatever you want. By the way, I don't need to steal everyone's stuff.
This is much more reassuring. Well, let's get going. It says all that. That's not me adding that. It says, we've added Fook. This is much more reassuring. Well, let's get going. Which fucking Sega goofy. Awesome. Fook's bio reads, left the army and became a hunter after wife and child died.
God damn. I didn't even read that.
Right. Very strong. Can use heavy guns with ease. And then his job title is Hunter. So these are, they're got to be a blast. Every one of them's got to be a blast. I can't wait to read them. And his level 1 stats are 44 HP, 0 technique points. So yes, very tank-y looking. 60 strength, 28 mental, 18 agility, 7 luck, 12 dexterity. And I think I really like the randomness of this addition to the, like, I love the way this works, that it's kind of just like, oh, you show up and like, oh, there's a whole new thing to deal with and you don't know when this is going to happen. And, I don't know, that's very, you can see so many things coming, even in Dragon Warrior 2, where we finally get this shit, where we get some parties and like things being added narratively as opposed to just picking 4 at the start of Final Fantasy, you could still see them coming, I think Jay, even you saw the dog thing like from a mile away, so it's nice that these kind of just like, you get slapped in the face with them and like, here, deal with some whole new shit. So yeah, rolling 3 deep is a big fucking change, and so this is the first time I had this, or this is where I was able to employ it most effectively. So I had stowed the sonic gun. I bought the sonic gun for Todd, and when I upgraded to the ceramic knife, or there wouldn't even have been an intermediary upgrade between the two, I stowed the sonic gun back at the library so I could get him upgraded from a starter bow gun right away, Yeah. I checked the chart and I was like, okay, other people can use this. I don't know who I'm going to get next, but I know other people can use it. I'll just put it at the library and not sell it, which is what you would normally do in a game like this, So right. That is a cool implementation of that feature. And then I would buy the shotgun and a Mira almost immediately, so it was kind of nullified to the benefit of that. But 26 for now, 27 for Sonic, 30 for shotgun as far as the attack points go. And it was doing maybe 19-ish damage on the regular with after that, and it'll sometimes damage surrounding enemies AoE style. So I like that side effect a lot. So that was a cool thing to discover. And he also already had a fiber coat, headgear, and boots as far as starting gear goes.
He actually came kind of strapped up, actually.
Yep. As a hunter should, also.
As a hunter should.
Yeah. Role-playing that.
Yeah, that would suck if he was like, I'm this hunter who used to be in the army.
Find you a bunch of shit.
22 caliber pistol and no armor. Like, okay.
First up is our inaugural Bestiary Annals for Phantasy Star 2. Jay, of the 3 that we pick each episode, what will be your first one here?
The one that did not ever allow me to run from a fight when they are present, amoebas.
Okay.
So annoying, but like I said, when I was trying to just get through...
I don't know if I tried to run a single time. I don't know if I tried to run a single time.
Not what I'm here for.
Well, like I said, I am clearly much lower level than you guys, so by the time I got up to the top level of that dungeon, or that maze rather, I was like, I'm going to escape. Can I come back in? Like, is that what we're doing? So when I came back.
I guess that wasn't. I didn't actually really answer that when we were talking earlier, but yeah, I murked shit in that fucking.
Well, once I went back to the town and bought a sword and came back, I felt like that. I was like, "Oh, bring it!"
The sword is fucking serious, dude. That is a big upgrade. We didn't really talk about that, but the sword is a big upgrade.
Facts.
Well, that's part of our grind here. That's when we're going to talk about it.
That's true.
Yeah. But the Amoeba has 13 HP, 11 attack, 10 defense, and you get 12 XP and 22 Maceda for beating it.
Word. My first one were the froggies. These are large green frogs.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool special attack animation, that red shit coming out of their pores, which is a kind of a high-level biological capability of some frogs. And also, Froggy was, I should say, Miyagi's shelter name before I adopted him. So that's cute.
Okay.
Of significance. It's actually not cool. I think it's making fun of his buggy ass eyes, and I think that's kind of fucked up, but it's a nice emotional connection, if nothing else.
Yeah. Corbin's name was Brofessor, which was just, they were like, do you want to change his name? And I was like, yeah.
Yep, 100% going to do that. Thanks for your guys' help.
Thank you.
By the numbers, these are 12 HP, 5 AP, 7 DP, 7 XP, 10 Macetas. Jab, what's your first?
I like this one because it's like xenomorphy and large. Like, this is the first time that I encountered something in this game, and the sprite was very large. The Locust.
Mm.
Also a good mathcore band, if anybody doesn't know that.
And I believe these are the ones. It's the same sprite as the Armorants, I believe, too.
Is
No.
that different? These are taller, and they've got like a thin abdominal section and like claws that like protrude from the top, and like almost one eye. I don't know. It looks really cool. HP 10, attack 8, defense 5, XP you get 7 and 15. What is it? Macetas?
Maceta, if you're Espanol.
What is Mestestos? I feel like that's like a Mexican revolutionary thing. I got to look that up. Anyways, that was mine.
Jay, second.
Well, speaking of such evil
Mexicans.
Evil thing.
Believe it or not, they have a Mexican enemy in this game.
What? Well, speaking of armor ants, that's my next choice because I freaking hate these things. And when I encountered them...
Oh, dude! I didn't... That's crazy.
What's that? It's crazy that I'm choosing them.
No, it's crazy that the way you just said that is what they are, and I didn't connect it.
Dude.
Armorant. It was like a word, not an armor ant.
Yeah. That's the way I thought of him, because I'm like, this thing is big, and I kept swinging at it with my little dagger knives and just hacking away. Even Dean's gun was
so
doing
much
like 4
defense,
damage each
The first time you encounter
Oh.
one of these, assuming you didn't you didn't grind an insane amount before you went up to that part of the map, it was like, oh, this is like a big step up as far as battling goes and the difficulty of it.
I came across and I was like, every JRPG got that one enemy whose defense is like 99.
Right.
Yep.
And it's crazy to encounter it in the first part. But it changes a lot once you get your shit, your equipment and stats up a little bit. It changes dramatically.
Yep. But prior to that, these stats kicked my ass. 23 HP, 12 attack, 16 defense, which feels like 160, 26 XP, and 34 Macetas.
My second are these spinners, and these have a slick particle animation. They look like a biological cell or atom or something, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
They have 14 HP, 9 AP, 10 DP, 7 XP, 16 MS. Jab.
Poisoner. Snakes are cool. I'm a little behind in the work here, so Poisoner. Don't have a huge reason for this one. Though it is a snake-like sprite, it has 12 HP, 4 attack, 2 defense, 5 XP, and 13 Macetas for your trouble, and they can paralyze you.
They can. And really, more notably, I suppose, stop your auto grinding.
But at this point, I just kill him, so it's okay.
Right. Jay, third up.
Last but not least, also something which seemingly had a lot of armor on it, a lot of defense until I could come back with the sword, the carrier. Pink, squishy crab looking creature. But it has 17 HP, 6 attack, 10 defense, 9 XP for defeating it, and 16 macetas.
My last one is the Buzzers. This is a color palette swap on the bees that you encounter early on. Pink instead of green. And they also have much more whoop ass. These things are a lot more legit. Yep. And by the numbers, they go 27 HP, 17 AP, which is fucking lots even more than those fucking fucked up things, and almost the same defense at 15. And 26 XP, so you at least get paid off for it, and quite a bit of dough in 34 macetas. Jab.
We somehow managed to go the entire time without picking
any overlaps. Oh,
yeah,
nice,
none.
nice.
Yep. My last one was the Fire Ant, which feels kind of like a. Nah, I won't say that because I don't actually know that to be true. But anyways, it looks like an ant. It's fiery. I don't think it has a fire attack though, does it?
I don't know.
I don't recall. I have not felt it. Yeah, if it does.
HP 9, attack 3, defense 4. And 3 experience.
Oh yeah, that early on, they don't have any
macetas.
Special
for your trouble.
That's a early one. Word. Tales of the Grind. Jay, start us off with your grind, since you were so frustrated. Maybe it'll be the most entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, not much to say. I feel like I stayed around like that first little square between Paseo Town and Arima, because like I tried to stay around Paseo, but I'm like, there's nothing. My RNG rate of encountering enemies was too low, so I kind of had to go out to that spot and just kind of walk around. And even then, I would, I feel like it took me a while to get it. Like I said before, until I armored Neh with the freaking pipe, and then I got her actually into the battle. Then I felt okay. And then when Dean came around, I was like, all right, now I'm understanding what's happening. And then the grinding came a bit easier. I still don't understand why Ney levels up so much quicker. Maybe they feel like
that is kind of weird.
It's easily a 2-to-1. I have that in my notes. It's like a 2-to-1
Absolutely
deal.
Yeah. I think that's also mentally what made me feel like I was ahead and could go into Sure, because Ney's freaking level, 10 already. I'm like, oh well, I gotta go. But
and interestingly, we haven't gotten to it yet, but she becomes much more of an offensive force. I guess potentially as a result to some degree, but whatever the logic behind it, like it completely goes in the face of the no job helpless girl that just kind of annoyingly tags along. So that was a cool turn.
We didn't talk about it. So I was playing on fast speed, and part of the problem with fast speed is like you just do stupid shit. And I bought 2 steel rods. And I was like, oh, let me give it a shot. Like, I got 2 hands. Did you know that she can dual wield?
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Dude,
no, I didn't.
Oh, take a note.
That is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. And then when I found that
out,
when I found that out, I suited old dude up with 2 sonic guns instead of the shotgun.
Oh, yeah. That's fucking amazing.
2 sonic guns, too? Oh.
Playing on fast speed. Fucking
so cool.
Dude, okay.
Yeah, that's that being a reason. Like maybe you'll do shit you didn't intend to do.
Maybe it'll work out for you, right?
yeah.
Failing.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I did not think to, and I even like kind of hyper focused on that because I made Neh like okay, she's creative, she is left-handed, and Todd's
I was
fucking
like, there's no way she's got a fucking shield. So like
Asian
maybe
ass.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. That's amazing. Yep.
I find her like powerful as is, to your point, even without having like the ability to cast, at least right now, crazy spells and stuff. Like she's just doing damage. So like I said, once she was able to do damage, I felt like that opened things up.
She's very fucking Prince of Canuck with the spell casting. It's like this kind of nerfed, buff oriented. Or buff oriented, not particularly destructive. Yeah, antidote and shit like that. Yeah, she's not particularly offensive on the technique front.
Now
so
she'll have
it's good. And that's it. You're talking about fucking. Remember too. That was the thing. Like he was useless. Period. So it's great that if she's going to be that kind of slightly not as destructive on the magic front, has some fucking actual attack use. Is really nice that there's that balance.
Yep, I feel bad that you said that about the Prince of Canuck. I wanted to like him, and he wasn't good.
No, he's the terrible balance with his
whack.
melee, but it was the weapon thing. They were too limiting on the weapon.
Yep.
Shit was the problem. Obviously, the leveling, shit goes up, the numbers would go up, but
it goes up for everyone. So
yeah, he couldn't use it. He could not use enough weapons, or at least that were available to you, in the middle parts of the game. Not a problem yet here, so that's good. Okay, Jab, I guess talk to us about how your flow went up and through, sure, as far as the leveling stuff goes, and maybe any notable equipment shit.
Yeah, you pretty much heard it, and you could probably guess the rest. I actually just went literally right outside Paseo, in that little enclave area that you're in at first. And the enemies are these are, relatively speaking, blue slimes, but when you're doing it at 10 times the normal speed that you would, then it doesn't super matter. So I just kind of did that I was telling Jay when you were taking a piss, I was like, I just did that. I like to do these games, I'll just level like that, and then I go to the place and just play the game regular, instead of getting there and being under-leveled. I'm ready to just kind of push. I'm confident that I can push through whatever the next thing is. So,
Me too.
yeah, I just stayed outside the Paseo and killed fucking those little critters.
What was the ratio before you went up?
The ratio? Oh, I was actually thinking about 18, 15 myself.
Okay.
And then whatever Rudolph was at, I don't remember what I had him at. Maybe 3 or 4.
Kudos. So I didn't actually. I guess, did we say what your names were?
Him? Mine was Vincent from Final.
Oh yeah. Right.
So yeah, I just did that there, and then during recording just now, I was over at Sure inside leveling up, and I think the enemies are actually the same on the first level, so I don't think I even need to do that. So
correct. Yeah, on the first level they're the shit you find outside. Yeah.
Yep. So that's what I did.
Word. Okay. Well, some random shit for me before we get into the actual leveling stuff. Upgrading Todd to the bowgun. I checked to see if the glam band dude would sell you something that you can't use. And surprisingly and forgivingly, he says, "You must be joking. Are you sure?" Yep. So he's like, he'll still let you do it. But he does notify you that that's a dumb decision. So that's cool. It's A plus 16-bit RPG execution there, in my opinion.
He straight up stopped me from buying something because that gave me pause. I was like, wait a minute, can I not use this? I had to go check the guide.
Right.
I was like, I guess I can't use this.
Yeah. So yeah, referring to the charts to kind of parse that shit out, there's asterisks on some things as opposed to the more common solid dot that you see on a lot of shit. And the legend on here explains this as hold the weapon in your hands. And my best guess was that meant it was a two-handed weapon, but that's you can be far from sure with that wording. So that's SEGA goofy. It's a plus 11 over the knife, though, the bowgun, and plus 16 in total. And I wanted to hold out for a more efficient choice of the single-handed sonic gun, and then I could hold the shield, but decided fuck it and just fucking piecemealed my way through there. So probably wasted some dough. I sold the knife at the shop after, and it looks like a 50% resale rate. That's always worth noting as far as the economy of these things go. You get 50 mesetas for those. Cost $100 originally, so that's good to know. That puts it down. I have that chart that I'm keeping of each game's resale rate, and I think that's pretty low. I don't think anything's worse than 50%, so that's about as low as you're going to find.
What was Ultima's? Yeah. It was like 80%?
It was high. I think it was 80, high as fuck, 75 or 80, so.
Dragon Warrior or Final Fantasy had 50%, I feel like, because that was stuck in my head, like, this is in my mind, that's standard RPG is 50%.
I thought 50 was standard as well, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But in the data, still the lowest, so I can say the shittiest. So here's an interesting fucking thing. So I sell the knife, and I find that it's a significant downgrade to the bowgun as far as the damage you're doing. 7 to 8 damage per attack to half that. And I'm thinking like, well, maybe it attacks twice per turn to offset that, but it's really hard to tell when one turn ends and another begins with the auto battling system. So I couldn't, really figure that out. Either way, I was like, this is fucking shit. And prioritize getting to the sonic gun as fast as I could, basically, because of fucking, I could at least have a shield then, as far as the damage goes. So Did that around a 4-to-8 ratio, and then selling my bowgun to get me that last few Macedas, I was able to do so without unequipping first. And that is a very long overdue RPG quality of life upgrade that you can sell something without having to take it off your guy. And that's nice. So thank you, Sega. So I buy this thing, just 640 ducats, more than twice that of the bowgun, and it's only one attack point better than the bowgun, a plus 17, and that fucking blows, and disappointed me a great deal. And 6 damage was the in-practice result. So
Look at you.
I guess worth it. And he can't use the other melee weapons, the scalpel and the dagger, so, I don't know. I tried an experiment of going back to the knife, and he was thinking maybe that I don't know, maybe that he was just more melee focused, and it would be like having higher numbers now, would he be doing more damage with that? So I don't know, man. He was doing 6 with that too, so I think it might just be beneficial to just do nothing until the sword becomes available to you, as far as the best flow goes. So I did Todd's fiber coat upgrade at level 5. That's a 300 Maseta investment to get you to +4 over the carbon suit. That's a +8 overall, and then tacked on the carbon shield shortly thereafter. It's 540 Macetas. That's a +8 to the defense when I equipped it to Todd's offhand, the left. So I didn't leave Paseo enclosure until I was around a ratio of 5 to 10. Had done all that shit. It's super fucking conservative.
Yeah, that's very conservative, actually.
Yep. Both characters at exactly 45 HP and 25 TP. We said it's like a 2-to-1 deal. Interestingly, those levels are 2-to-1, but the actual stats, underlying stats, are exactly the same at those numbers, So, I don't know. Interesting.
What difference it even makes, but yeah, sure.
Right. I mean, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm still getting vaped by those armors and waspies over the bridge to the north of Arima. At level 7 anyhow, so I decided I just grinded my ass off up there for the 2800 Mercedes to score the ceramic knife before I fucking did anything, and it still only bumped the attack by 3 over the sonic gun to a +20 overall, but it also added 3 to my defense. So again, I don't know. That's cool that it happens, but very interesting. And this is when I stowed the sonic gun, blah, 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 blah. 4 characters can use that, so I was, it's nice that you can see that coming, and you can kind of just hand me down that fucking down, Big damage differential, though, with that ceramic knife. 20 to 30 instead of 6 or 7, so just immense swing. Wow. But only 3 attack more. What is the fucking math there? Explain that to me,
Who knows?
It was what was it, from the bowgun to the fucking other thing, so it's just 1 point and the same damage from that 3 points. What's that? Fucking 5 times as much damage. I don't know, just fucking kind of crazy ass.
Well, this is a function. It's not just that. It's a function equation. So
sure.
Yeah,
But still, what could the? I mean, it is, yes, dexterity is involved, but again, I tried the fence testing of going back to the knife just to see if other numbers were influencing that. But there's got to be something about the ranged versus melee thing. You know what I mean? There's got to be some sort of multiplier in the math there that makes a handheld better for Todd. You know what I mean? There has to be. Yeah. I can't guess of what it might be, but there's got to be something in there, I think, for that to make sense. So I don't know. Perhaps that will reveal itself as we proceed through here. So on to arcane teachings. Let us discuss the magic that apparently Jay had no idea he could perform. And very specifically, that first one is Foy, F-O-I-E. And yeah, these all have really shorthand abbreviations as names for them. And we'll call these the slashes for these. You have the first is a number. That is the number of technique points it uses. And then the second one is whether it's for the heroes or for enemies. And then the last one is whether it's AoE or single target. So this first one is a 2ES slash. So two technique points, goes against enemies, and is 1 enemy at a time. And it says damage of 15 to the enemy is what it says on the chart. And when you use this, it looks like you're shooting a fireball at the enemy with the battle animation. So again, each spell has its own animation. Very cool. And they correlate very well, I guess, with what the descriptions end up being, I would say. And the technique blurbs in the manual are a little more expanded, and this explains that many of these spells, this one in particular, is grouped into families, and the family for this is Foy, and then it's heightened strength iterations, Gifoy and Nufoy. And these carry over. So like the other, like the GI prefix is level 2 of other spells also. So again, just very logical and sensible way to make sense of all these dumbass abbreviations when you're just blowing through menus and stuff, and that's very to its credit, I think. The manual copy for this reads, all 3 compress the oxygen in the air until it ignites, inflaming the enemy it's directed at. So it actually like explains the fucking...
Some like science, which is kind of
cool. The goddamn chemistry of it, and that is really cool, I think. The next one we will encounter is Res, and this is a 3PS slash, so this goes against your party, still single, and it recovers 20 HP, and this is exact, 20 HP every time, which is
nice for planning purposes.
Right, yeah, it's good for planning purposes. It's not usually how it works, and probably shouldn't be how it works.
Yeah,
although I guess
some randomness in that.
Yeah, but you know what? That, I think, also is predicated, and I was sitting here talking about it. I think that puts it more in the magic bucket. And these are techniques.
That's a really good point.
They're science, and it's
magical.
fucking, it's sci-fi. It's not, it should be exact, maybe, because it's probably some sort of, like, perfect measuring,
Yeah.
Which
it
is
does
cool.
a thing, and it does it specifically.
Right, and because of the laws of physics, and that's fucking cool.
Right.
So this can be cast in battle, and I was pleased, like I mentioned, that, when you do this in battle, she just does it the once and then goes to melee attacking. So when you use it in battle, it does it in a smart way, not a spammy, wasteful way. And the manual description reads, in all 3 forms, it heals wounds. Res is regular strength. And then Todd learns Ryuka at level 4. So you have this too, Jay, FYI.
Oh, I know. I know I have that
by
one.
the way.
Yeah, and this is an 8PA slash, so party members, and then it's an AoE one, so it returns you the whole party to the town where data is saved, and transports you to the city where your travel information is stored. So return spell, as we said. And the copy when you use it reads, Todd's body feels very light, and you're transported back to the doorway outside of the actual data memory hut. And he learns 2 new ones at level 5, and that's kind of also a very... You don't see that where they get multiple techniques at one level, so that's kind of both the implication.
Wow, I didn't even notice that actually. Wow.
Yeah, so both the implication that it can happen, or not both the implication, but the implication that this can happen is a cool thing, And you also get, or rather, you get Gifoy, which is the second tier fucking fire spell. And this is a 6ES slash, damage of 40 to the enemy. And the manual reads, it also burns through metal. So I don't know if that's just like story stuff or if that has some sort of functional purpose. I'm guessing the former, but we shall see.
I wonder if it also deals additional damage against like robot characters.
Right, that would be exactly. Yeah, it would be really nice if that has some meaning above and beyond. Again, just story shit.
Yeah.
But the other one is Tsu, TSU, and this is a 6ES slash, does damage of 30 to the enemy, and the manual reads, all 3 forms, Tsu, Jisoo, Natsu, concentrate the light of the Algo star system into a fatal laser beam. And at first I was very confused by this being a lesser damage spell.
Yep.
But using it in battle, you will see that it has a lightning animation. So I'm assuming there's, some elemental factor going on there, which is cool. And I look forward to learning more about how that can best fucking kind of be applied, And there are 2 more, again, for Todd at level 7. There is Hinas, Hinas, and this is a 4PA slash. It allows you to exit from a dungeon or building. So gets rid of the need to buy the escape pipes from the tool menu. And the description for this on the map are, use this to escape from mazes. And this is an outside spell. Todd's body feels very light. It's the same as return. It says the same thing. So that's kind of fun. And then there is Zan. It's a 4EG slash, damage of 20 to the enemy, but AoE style. And it works by creating a vacuum in the atmosphere which draws all air out of your enemy and crushes it. And that's a dope ass description. Yeah, it's a fucking really sick.
Implode would probably be a better term there.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Animation isn't easily discernible as an element, but I'd call it a column of 3 sonic rings coming up from below the enemy, and this affects multiple enemies in a group though, and that's fucking dope. AoE rules. Then Todd gets his own res at level 8. That's nice that you have that option if one of them is dead. And the only spell got in my whole run was Anti at level 16. And this is a 2 PS/, removes poison as you'd expect. The manual description reads, cleanses poison from the body of anyone who's been poisoned by the biomonsters. Only 2 comrades can use this to help the others. So I guess only 2 people get it. Kind of warning you, I guess. Okay. Yeah, to probably still carry potions, maybe is the idea there. With expressing that explicitly. I assume you guys didn't get any more spells than that. No, you're both below me on those level counts, I assume.
Yep.
Well, I hope you are ready for the Phantasy Star 2 hint book, and we are going to start with the Paseo Town pages. And each one of these says up at the there's like a I don't know, there's like, I don't know what to call it, like a subheading, or I don't know what the fuck how you want to describe it, but there's like describer copy at the top of each one of these. And Paseo Towns reads, "Your journey starts from this town. Start your journey alone." Jay, could you please read the copy of this little blurb here in the beginning?
Your journey starts from Paseo. First, ask the commander of Mota in the central tower the reason for your first journey. The commander asks you to go to the biosystems lab where the biomonsters are created and bring back a recorder. He does not know where the biosystems lab is located. You need to talk to the townspeople and obtain that information. They will also give you some hints for your journey. Back in your home awaits Nay, who will accompany you. Then go to the stores and buildings. They sell various weaponry and devices which you will also need. We suggest you also buy some medical supplies. Venture forth after obtaining your supplies and as much information as possible in this town.
There's so much flowery stuff in the other copy we've been provided so far that it's interesting that this is very much more
straightforward, black and white.
They literally got the white space to type more. Like,
right,
you could have made it more flowery.
Right. But this is kind of maybe it was a creative choice in that this is supposed to be answers. Even for the small child that might be reading it. So maybe to take kind of that flair out of it and just very, very dryly deliver the information was the whole purpose here. But yeah, it's very deliberate in plotting out of all the important shit you must do here, much less of the nudging vibe I would say that the Final Fantasy strategy guide might use. And they do have a little chart that outlines all of the buildings present here, the inventories and prices in each of the shops, also a labeled map of the place on the second page. And that is in addition to a pin drop map image next to the header for each POI that shows you where on the overworld map this thing is located. And we can very clearly see that Paseo is very much dead center on the map, and that's maybe good to know. You can also see there's a lot of shit, a lot of places to go.
Yeah, they look like, states almost.
Yeah,
right,
counties or something, yeah.
Yep. Then there are a couple of boxes depicting the most important convos you need have before leaving the commander in the central tower and at home. Next is Arima Town, and the starters here are Arima looks devastated. What happened here? And Arima is the first town you find. Jab, lay it out for us.
Leave Paseo and head north. Arima is to the northeast. It is the first town you come to. The town has been dynamited and destroyed by the scoundrels. Not pronoun. I think their name should be the scoundrels. Talk to the townspeople. They tell you that the daughter of Darum has been kidnapped by scoundrels from Shur. Now you know your next task is to find Shur. Shur lies to the east of Arima. There are no data memory or tool shops in Arima. You and Neh must be well equipped for the perils ahead. Buy yourself a sword and a steel bar for Neh. return to your home in Paseo by teleport station. There you will find your friend Rudo. Now, the three of you continue the journey. Your battles against the enemy will increase. Does that mean that like your RNG goes up?
Oh yeah, that's kind of that suggests that's the case, right?
But it also could just be, you know, that
story stuff
translated. Yeah,
right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, we talk about the times that the fucking manual could have really, or the hint book would have helped. Like, I would have had had Rudo much sooner. Had I been using this to follow along, because I really bumped my head up against the wall. And sure, before doing that,
now you know.
Now you know. They do a little bestiary box at the end, labeled enemies that appear up to this stage, and we see here the fire ant, the mosquito, the bee, the poisoner. So that's kind of fun that they give us a bestiary. And then the next one is Sure. And this starts us off with copy reading: the dungeon at Sure is difficult, and the first dungeon is Sure. And the blurb reads: leave Arima and continue northeast. You see Sure near the beach. Sure is a 4-level dungeon. As you go higher, the power of your enemies becomes stronger. Follow the map carefully when you enter Sure. It's easy to get lost. Return to the same route to get back to the ground. Return by the same route to get back to the ground. Use the escapipe, which you bought at the tool shop in Paseo, to return to the outside at once. Since you are still inexperienced, you must carry monomate and dimate for healing, and an escapipe. And then the bestiary enemies that appear here are the locust, the spinner, the carrier, the proggy, the armor ant, the pulsar.
Man, these maps look so simple compared to what you actually look at.
The experience in here, yeah.
Right?
I cannot believe this.
Yeah.
It's a lot more complicated that visually when you're doing it.
Yep. And that honestly is part of just the visual jargon of that, like, foreground stuff to some degree. Maybe is like kind of it's not different in what you experience, but just visually it feels more so because of the fucking busyness of what's on screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't say 99 heal potions in here, but the message is not unlike that idea. So they at least convey that early on for us. And then they, do illustrated maps of each level. And the items found are listed. And there is a brief blurb titled Hints for this level below. And these are poorly worded, but, relatively useful, I would say. I don't know if there's anything in there that I wanted specifically to talk about. They're very much just pay attention. Otherwise, you won't know what the fuck to do. Okay, so that is all we did so far. Very much just getting your feet your toes dipped into this shit. I wouldn't say this is a very daunting starting endpoint at all. What were, if any, broad observations you might have had, and what would your expectations be moving forward? I always give it to you, Jay, first here. So, Jab, maybe you start us off with this.
That's fine. I can do that. It was immediately recognizable. I felt at home. All of the standard JRPG tropes are kind of there. I just fit right in. I get it. The battle stuff is weird, but when I suppose when I'm not leveling and I'm actually like going towards a specific goal, I'll make better use of the battle stuff. But I think this is something that I can enjoy, as long as it doesn't get all Ultima on us and like throw you. Not even that Ultima threw us for a loop. That game just sucked from the beginning. But
the battle stuff was so bad. That was the thing. Like,
I guess that is it. It's the it's so
boring and repetitive.
So fucking much.
Yeah. And it's just the same enemies. Like, you just to your point earlier, there's not a lot of functional variance in these games. Mm-hmm. So you got to give me plenty of story and visual variance. Interesting things to look at, artwork, and tell me a story, And I think Ultima was a little light on both. So I think that was its biggest detractor, really.
Fortunately, we're not playing Ultima. We're playing Phantasy Star 2. And I got to say, so far, I like it. There's not a whole lot to dislike so far. Except the dungeons, aforementioned, kind of suck. Dungeon.
Right.
And then we were informed that it's going to suck more. But what are you going to do? Jay,
Right,
what
yeah.
are you going to do?
yeah, Jay, what are you going to do?
I mean,
Well,
I
now
think
he knows about speed up,
yeah.
and now we know we can dual wield, so his world's just been rocked.
I don't know. I don't really know what to expect here. I mean, I'm just gonna grind and go north after this.
There's the
figure out what
Darum
damn
shit.
is
We've
happening.
heard, yeah, exactly. We've heard Darum. I presume that guy that we bumped into that I bumped into, I don't know if you guys bothered to go over there and have that experience where you're just forced to leave. But I presume that's the guy they're talking about that like you don't want to fuck with, and he was gonna murk you and steal your shit or whatever when they were talking about in the town. So I assume he's obviously probably the next thing to deal with, and then we got to find the scoundrels, which we didn't talk about it, but you can wander east a little bit. I can't remember. I think you're not able to go to where they might be, maybe, or maybe the enemies were so bad I just turned around. I can't recall, but there was something a little bit to the east I recall that I didn't explore further. You must not be able to, because I told you, Jay, that you can't get to the other. The only thing you can go to is Sure at this point, so there must be some sort of actual physical barrier. But there was clearly more land that you could go to. So heading over there and figuring out what that leads to is one of those two things. Seems to me the next steps, you know. And I didn't even go back to. I guess that's the stopping point. So of course, but I guess we should go back to Arima and talk to those people and find out if having the dynamite means anything to them and if they give us any further direction.
I actually went back to Arima, and I wasn't purposely trying to talk to everyone yet, but I was like, oh, let me talk to some people, and somebody still said, hey, they still have 2 sticks of dynamite, and I was like,
Unchanged.
I have 2,
Okay.
so
yeah. Update. Newsflash, homeboy. They're all dead, and I got the 2 sticks of dynamite. Good news. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I think would be happening next. The only other big thing, broad thing I was thinking here, and I jotted down was, like, I can already see the vast gap between the collective knowledge pool online that is available to us. Simple shit like bestiary stats are infinitely more scarce and shit like that than in the Dragon Warrior, Final Fantasy, and even Ultima instances. So, you know, this is the Sega effect. Like they just don't have they don't have the same numbers in their army, so there isn't the same amount of information that's been dumped onto the interwebs, and that is interesting and will lead to a different experience. I feel that we just don't have an answer for everything, maybe so readily available and so easily found. You know, so. Interesting. I have a random side tangent. So, Jay and I were talking.
Is this about Dean?
No, it's not. Kind of. It's about that house. So, Dean probably ties in to some degree or another. But Jay and I were, I think it was the last Mag Ep, or Game Ep, rather. We talked about my bedroom and your bed, like the bedroom dance, I guess, that we did at 48122. So, I'm assuming you know this, but that blue bedroom was my bedroom before I moved out, right?
Well, hold on. Blue bedroom. That's crazy. Your bedroom was at the end of the hall. Mine was not. Which one are you talking about?
Well, that's not how it started. When I moved back originally, well, again, blue bedroom is the one at the end of the hall is the blue bedroom. When I say blue bedroom, that's the room I mean, yes.
Okay.
So, that was my bedroom when I first moved in, or when I first lived there. And then I move out. My parents get divorced. I move in with my mom. She dies. I move back. In this interim period, Mad Mike and Deb get married. You move into that house. You take that back room. When I'm coming there on the weekends for visitation with my dad, I kind of like somewhat move into that. I have like some stuff in that yellow room, the other bedroom, which is that's what I call the other bedroom, by the way, the yellow bedroom.
That's fair.
And I have some stuff kind of in there, but I obviously don't live there yet. And then when I moved back, because I had already kind of went into that room, and you obviously were in the other one, I kind of move into that yellow room. Mm. And at some point or another, we switch rooms.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that,
Nothing.
if anything? Nothing. Okay.
Like I didn't, like when you said, for instance, I don't remember that you lived with your mom. I don't remember that you moved back.
Well, I mean,
like, you were always there in my mind, and you were also always in the end of the hallway bedroom.
No shit, that's wild.
This.
Okay, yeah. So this is the whole thing. So what we were talking about in the pod was, here's how it went down in my mind, is I moved back into that yellow room, and at some point I raised a stink about it. And I don't know if it was as far as demand, but I raised enough of a stink to catalyze it happening where we switch rooms again. So, like, you had already been fucking living in that back room, and we switch rooms, and you go to the yellow room, I move back into my old bedroom. And yeah, I was curious if you remembered that at all, and, like, were pissed about it, or remembered how much of a bitch I might have been about it.
I got nothing. I think I would have been around maybe 6 years old, so like I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I remember anything, to be honest.
Yeah. So you don't even remember being in that. Oh yeah, you
I
definitely
don't even remember. I got in there after you left, but don't remember a thing about being in there any time before that.
Right. Yeah. That's the full circle thing. Is after I leave, you went back to that room. So it's like clearly the sought after real estate, and I don't. What's the difference?
Guess so, because
really?
I think they're the same room.
Right. Yeah. They're a little bit
like.
Well, I guess the closet a little better. Little better closet.
True. Yes. I would say it's like 25% more closet space.
Right. Exactly. So that's nice, I suppose.
Yeah. But you probably didn't need a lot of closet space for like Ninja Turtle shirts and whatnot. So.
Right. But the even honestly, because you had the whole extra shelving thing, this listeners can't possibly enjoy this. Okay. But moving on.
Talking about things that we don't even remember.
Status update. What were your party ratios? Your end party ratios?
Well, I didn't know you were going to ask that. The question that you ask during every...
We'll start with Jay then. Jay, what was your end party ratio?
Dean was at 5.
Toothless Dean. Don't ever fuck it up. Yeah, Toothless
please.
Dean.
Toothless Dean is at 5. Jay's at 6, and Neh is at 11.
Okay. Well, what the fuck? That's interesting to hear.
This way.
That's interesting to hear. Because my end party ratio was 9-18-6. So it's interesting that
who was 9 in this scenario?
It's got to be
Todd.
Yeah,
mine's in the order that I got him. So 9-18-6. Yeah. So yeah, like basically, because I don't know, like.
There's a gap between your Dean and your...
Well, yeah, what am I getting at here is that, like, yes, we talked about the 2-to-1 ratio for Neh, because everyone gets Neh right at the beginning. Or you got, I guess you get, maybe not, you don't have to, but you really got to fuck up not to. So, because I got my Toothless Dean, or in my case, Fook, later, he is going to be on a more disadvantaged ratio with the others relative to yours. And yeah, I guess I was kind of surprised to hear it was that much of a difference, I suppose, is what I'm saying there.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Jab, you on the same page yet?
Yeah. Also, your guy can be fuck. It doesn't have to be Fook.
No.
I think like the
like
pause, then fuck.
I like having to do the pause every time. I
If you choose Fook, you choose Fook. But
right,
I want it to be your choice.
Yes, I try. I guess what I'm trying to say, I tried to name him fuck, and it was fun for me to say the word fuck when I initially brought this topic up. But I am thinking of it as Fook for sure because there's no C. Yeah. So to me, it would be Fook.
Got it. Just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
I was 8-16-6.
Okay. Copy that. All right, so let us then we'll do Todd as our benchmarks, of course, as we usually do, our lead hero. Jay,
holy shit, I'm looking at my screenshot for Vincent, and it gives you... I didn't do this. There's no way I did this. I know that I didn't do this. His right and left hand both have bow guns in them.
That's because it's two-handed weapon.
Two-hand.
Yeah, two-handed weapons.
Fuck, I thought that was the Sonic. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, right, yeah. Jay, what was your starting... Jay, since we're going to use correct names, what was your starting Jay? Or finishing, I should say. Sorry. Statistics.
He is level 6, so strength 45, mental 54, agility 38, luck 36, dexterity 40, attack 69, and defense 49.
HP? HP and TP?
59 and 31.
Copy that.
Respectively.
Jab.
Jab, level 8. Strength 65, mental 63, agility 45, luck 53, dexterity 49, attack 84, defense 55, hit points and technique points 66 and 39.
What the fuck? I'm getting fucked here again. I'm on level 9 and my HP is 66.
What?
Always get fucked. I always get fucked in this.
Sounds like a you problem.
Always get fucked on the HP front. Yeah, so 66 HP, 36 TP, 76.
Man, I have more of that than you. Wow.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? Strength is 76, mental 78, agility 55, luck 57, dexterity 59, and my attack is 66 with that ceramic knife, and defense is 68. So, that is where we wound down. Subscribe to the pod on the platform provided whatever dumbass company that serves up your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on whatever platform you do listen to if you enjoy our nonsense. The website is nyhentertainment.com/ISOH pod. Email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com if you want to send us a receipt that says you gave $100 to Able Gamers Foundation and want to make us miserable like Jerome did. And follow the pod and banter with us on the Facebook page, Instagram, and subreddit, and talk shit to us about our gameplay videos on the YouTube. The links to all those will be in the show notes. We don't have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to things podcasters tell you to, and like to do so in our direction, like I already mentioned, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities, and that's cool as fuck. AbleGamers.org is where you can find them. And t-shirts on the website, they're dope, and proceeds on those after pod expenses go to Able Gamers as well. I'm rocking that RPG Chaos action right now. Jab, what's your socials?
Still none. Never gonna happen.
No? Even though...
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Literally no.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay. See, like they always say, Jay, immediately after the moment, so many things change. Maybe that'll be one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jay, what are your socials?
Gentleman JB without the second E. Pretty much where you can find me.
And I am on Instagram at myshiftKeyIsBroke. I am on Twitter at Josh Folan. And my Oculus tag is myshiftKeyIsBroke as well. Okay, bye.
Later.
Bye.